Pardon me. Oof. That was really gross. Firepower. What up, Black Raven? What up, Black Raven? Again? I'm good. How are you? Oh, I'm good. Oh, did I already answer that? I think I already answered that, didn't I? Good. Um, I guess we'll attempt to beat this first.
I'm waiting at the closure station.
before we go in on Dan Stapleton.
Main system activating combat mode.
I will stop you and the silo, carrying our shared resolve on the wings of this machine. Symbiosis, a shared life. I saw the potential for our future within you. You and I could have walked together.
AP at 50%. AP at 30%.
This build is way too slow for me. What the hell? This build is stupid slow. All right, let's see what happens here, man.
Main system activating combat mode.
I will stop you and the silo, carrying our shared resolve on the wings of this machine. Symbiosis, a shared life. I saw the potential for our future within you. You and I could have walked together.
AP at 50%. AP at 50%. One repair kit remaining.
Strong, dangerous. I will hold nothing back.
AP at 50%. Light AP at 30%.
Damn. Well, I was pretty effing close with that. I don't know.
Main system activating combat mode.
I will stop you and the silo, carrying our shared resolve on the wings of this machine. Symbiosis, a shared life. I saw the potential for our future within you. You and I could have walked together.
Gosh damn it, this stupid fucking.
I will stop the Zyra.
Main system activating combat mode.
Hate this stupid thing.
I will stop you and the Zyra. Carrying our shared resolve on the wings of this machine. Symbiosis, shared life. I saw the potential for our future within you. You and I.
I'm really about tired of the fact that these fucking machines could actually put me in stagger like that fast. That is nuts to me.
Two repair kits remaining.
Go ahead and restart that. That was so fucking bullshit.
Main system activating combat mode.
I will stop you and the Zyra. Carrying our shared resolve on the wings of this machine. Symbiosis, shared life. I saw the potential for our future within you. You and I could have walked together. Nothing back.
At 30%. No repair kits remaining. Left-hand ammunition at 10%. Right-hand ammunition at 10%. system activating combat mode.
I will stop you and the siren, carrying our shared resolve on the wings of this machine. Symbiosis, a shared life. I saw the potential for our future within you. You and I could have walked together. Dangerous. I hold nothing back.
Light index issue at 50%. AP at 50%. AP at 30%. One repair kit remaining. AP at 50%. AP at 30%. No AP at 50%.
I realize what you are. A spark of war. Fires that haunt Rubicon. You were the only one.
Main system activating combat mode.
I will stop you and the siren, carrying our shared resolve on the wings of this machine. Symbiosis, a shared life. I saw the potential for our future within you. You and I could have walked together.
AP at 50%.
Brave. You are strong. Dangerous. I will hold nothing back.
AP at 30%. AP at 30%.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna sit on this shit all day trying to beat this thing. If I do on stream, I do. If I don't, I don't. I can easily just record what I do and then post it. It is that simple to me. I'm not interested in actually doing this at the moment. I can easily say that. Like, it's fun, just there's a lot going on. Honestly, we're at a point now where I am very surprised that nobody is covering this stuff right as of right now. I'm very surprised. Oh, I hate that. I hate that when this does that. Come on. There we go. Trying to send this. It looks like whatchamacallit, it looks like Stone Cold Steve Austin. There we go. I sent that. Okay. So I guess let's go ahead and put this on. Wait, what just happened? Oh wait, did I watch this guy?
Everyone who's been subscribing to the channel recently.
Did I watch this guy? I think I watched him yesterday.
Praised for groundbreaking gameplay, graphics, control, exploration, like you name it, it nails it. This guy gave it a 7. So at the end of the day, I guess we just come back to, you can't really trust journalism in general. You need to learn to follow the specific reviewers that you trust. Dan is not somebody who I would ever trust again with a review. Anything that I see from him moving forward is compromised in my eyes.
I'd argue I would never follow I'd never follow a dev again. That's what I would argue, or not a dev, a journal ever again. Never again would I ever follow a journal. Straight up. Because it just doesn't make sense to. Let's see. This was a day ago. That's crazy. This Starfield review was like 2 days ago. I'm glad somebody else said it. Horizon Forbidden West was set up to fail. Yeah, it definitely was. They set that game up hardcore to fail. Like, definitely overshadowed by Elden Ring. Somebody else said it. Who is it? Luke Stevens? They definitely set that game up to fail. They shouldn't have put it out like that. This number right here for IGN has to go down when this strike happens. There's not too much on Dan Stapleton, but I'm willing to bet. Willing to bet there's more on Starfield. Were the skeptics right about Starfield's exploration? Starfield is an overrated piece of shit. Starfield, it doesn't just work. Wait, is this Asmongold saying this? Hold on, let's see what he says.
3, 2, 1.
We're so grateful you're spending the time, and we know you've waited a long time to finally see Starfield.
This is a $100 game.
First, the companions are awesome. Our team's done a really, really great job with them, and there's a lot of great depth there with the main companions.
Nice, nice, nice.
You picked the wrong day to piss me off.
You got it, you got it. Hey, hey. Hey, this is you. You do you.
And that, my friend, is how.
Okay, this isn't $100 game. Let's be clear that early access to get premium, I think the premium version was $100, and you got the early access. So let's see what happens when it's available to everybody.
How we do things on Jemison.
Is that right?
And we've really spent it most of this year playing the game a ton, over and over. Obviously, bug fixing and all of those things, performance, and really getting it where we're really, really sure and solid on what we're putting out there for everybody.
There's got to be something over here, right? Bro, Earth fell off. It did.
And what we're able to do in the game and have all these things looking amazing and running, from all of the items that we're simulating, and people, spaceships, full planets.
Oh. Nice, nice, nice. We got him.
What's the ratio of like procedurally generated stuff to the handcrafted stuff?
Well, the planets themselves, the landscapes, pretty much all procedural. We kind of make these large, think kilometer-sized tiles we've generated, and those get kind of wrapped around the planet.
Okay, what's on top of this mountain?
I think like a lot of gamers out there, we have dreamt of a game where we look to the skies and we can blast off into space where you could explore with complete freedom in the galaxy.
Okay, let's see if I can go over to the sun.
2 repair kits remaining. AP at 30%.
Have I made any distance between like this and Mercury? No. Okay.
Wait, hold on.
I can't do it.
Is it reasonable to suggest that if Starfield is as awesome as and successful as we all hope it is, that as gamers, you have always kept...
Is this going to get depressing?
No, I hope not.
Okay.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, wow. My man put in, is this going to get depressing? It could very well get depressing. Let's tell you that. For some people, it might be depressing. For others, it might be a happy day. It just depends on who you are. I like how they say Starfield, don't miss these amazing early items. And to me, I'm just like, you act like this game is online. It's not. Actually, I think it's one of these games that should be played online. That's the crazy part. Let's see.
Welcome back to the news, everybody. Okay, it is Starfield time. Today I'm going to break absolutely everything down. We've got to start off with the obvious thing, though, and that is the
24 minutes, you're going to break everything down. What can't be broken down in that short a time. So Luke Stevens says it's going to take 3 hours for him to break it down, but you're going to break everything down in 24 minutes. Okay, I'm curious.
critical and player responses to the game just ahead of early access dropping. Those did come out. As of the time of my screenshot anyway, we're at an 87 on OpenCritic with 93% of critics recommending. This undoubtedly is a pretty humongous win for them, actually. Now, amid all the glowing stuff, there are a few 7 out of 10s. IGN is actually one of them. A combination of disjointed space travel, non-existent maps, aggravating inventory management, and slow rollout of essential abilities very nearly did it in. It was the joys piloting a custom spaceship into and out of all sorts of morally ambiguous situations in a rich sci-fi universe that eventually pulled it out of a nosedive. That is from Dan Stapleton, who I believe is the reviews editor at IGN. And while I've got you here, what we do in this channel is bring you all the latest gaming news and updates almost every single day. It's not just me. I'm backed up by my research and editing team so that we can always bring you the best thought out stuff that's going on.
You know what's funny is that you can go on Twitter and find...
This channel actually haven't, and you can be one who has. And with that, let's get back to...
I hate Twitter so much. You can find all the fucking bullshit on Twitter, but you can't find this shit on fucking YouTube. That's ridiculous, man. Like, that's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, Twitter is not that great. And yet I can say that from an opinionated standpoint, and there would be like 20 million people that think otherwise. Like, Twitter is everything. Twitter is like, man, get out of here, man. And I say that to say, I wish more people were covering Dan Stapleton, and I wish more people were covering this strike. Because it's just like I said, everything is gonna come falling down. And while people right now, as of right now, people aren't taking to, like, it seems that Hollywood's not getting the public's sympathies. They don't need it. They don't care as long as they get paid. And that's what's gonna happen in the game industry. They're not going to give a fuck about what you think. You're going to find out just how important your word is in these industries. And you are going to find out that your little spoiled mentalities are just that. Spoiled mentalities. And nothing more and nothing less. And you won't see the changes that you want to see just because you're not in the creative process. You're not getting paid to do this. You're paying them to do it. And so we got to remember that these people are human too. Like, they're not just machines that make you fucking... I think that if all of the entertainment, if everything in entertainment were to shut down and nobody had anything, then you'd be forced to shut the fuck up. That's just me though.
To the story. Now, I went through a absolute shitload of reviews and shitload of videos.
I went all off on a tangent too, because I was talking about Dan Stapleton news. I want more news on Dan Stapleton. Apparently this guy's Dan Stapleton goes back like 6 years, probably more than that, on how he reviews games. Like, this isn't the first time people have had beef with Dan Stapleton. But I wish this dude would have said more, because Dan Stapleton's whole review was just one contradiction after another. I said it yesterday. It's like he didn't want to know what he didn't know whether he wanted to like the game or whether he wanted to hate the game. And so then he just sticks with a solid 7 just to keep it safe. Look, man, dude, your life can't get any worse right now. If you wanted to, you could have just gave the game like a 3 or a 4 and your life wouldn't be any more worse than what it is now, just giving it a 7. I'm just saying, man, you might as well have actually kept it real if that's what you wanted to do. Like, make a fucking decision. Do you like the game or do you not? And it was just hard listening to anything that he had to say about it. It was hard listening to any of the criticisms or any of the things that he praised, because one moment he would praise the game, and I mean that's natural for, like, you're gonna have the things that you praise in a game and things that you criticize, but it's the way he went about it that just seemed like, holy crap, man, like, what is it that what are you trying to do? Are you trying to sell me something, or are you trying to keep me away from it? Like, I don't know what you're looking for. Wait, they're flesh popsicles, not robots? Wait, what?
Videos to try to bring you guys the balanced take. TLDR, right? This absolutely is a Bethesda Game Studios game, right? You can't really get around that. You will feel that, yes, it's made with similar technologies that have made other Bethesda games, right? NPCs just have that little bit of, creepy oddness to them. That being said, one of the things pretty much universal across reviews that I've seen is the gunplay is actually pretty damn good. Melee, a bit less so. Side quests, really damn good. Main quest, actually people have been pretty positive on that, which to me was a surprise because, well, the main quests were usually the weaker part of the Bethesda entries. In terms of bugs, there are some, but it is essentially universal that this is the least buggy Bethesda release. And on the topic of performance, actually on the Series X and the Series S, performance has been pretty damn good. Now, it is 4K 30. Of course, 4K as facilitated by FSR, but overall, it actually does hit its 30 FPS target and stays to that. Of course, you'd usually prefer a solid 30, right? Like good frame timings, rather than say, something that's absolutely all over the place, which can feel absolutely terrible. To summarize other things then, overall, the lore of the verse is actually surprisingly rich and deep. It does seem like an interpretation of the world that you, yes, would actually want to get lost in. And fascinatingly, whatever they've done with New Game Plus, and I don't want to spoil it.
I don't know. You said they were real people, not machines. Yes, they are fucking real people. Yeah, okay, I get it now. Yeah, they are. Roxas, what's up, man? So my bratty self commented. I wonder, and this is just a thought that just popped in my head. I wonder if Xbox wouldn't have touted how much power it has if 30 FPS would have made a difference, because that same 30 FPS was used on Tears of the Kingdom and nobody said shit about it bad. Nobody had anything bad to say about it. And I think that's just, and I attribute that to I could easily attribute that to Microsoft touting the Xbox One Series X and S power versus the Switch, which we expect to be like low grade, I guess. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but that's just what it seems, because like 30 FPS is like this, the frames per second, we need to finally have the frames per second conversation finally. I think we actually need to have that fucking conversation. Because I have heard so much about this 30 FPS since this, well, not even just since this, like multiple games have been talked about when it comes to FPS. Like it doesn't hit 60 or it doesn't hit 120 or it's like, let me ask you something. Are you actually paying attention to that while you're playing the game, or is that just something you just nitpick? Like, is it really that important at certain times? Like, I would argue that like in games like Call of Duty, maybe it's important, but in a game with story, like, I don't know, it's hard. It's really hard to decipher that, because if I play Tears of the Kingdom, then ultimately I'm not worried about it. But apparently if you play Starfield, it is the whole world.
Or anything like that for you. I'll put it this way, and if you know Matt and our channel, this
at least it stays dedicated to 30 FPS though. I mean, for those that care about it that much.
Is what actually sealed the deal for him to get the game. Gene Park said that it's New Game,
and actually if you watch it in 4K, it looks all right. It looks pretty good. Just saying.
Plus is one of the most innovative takes on that they've ever done, even more so than Nier Automata, which to me is absolutely...
Why are we comparing this to Nier Automata? I'm sorry, like, another hot take by the Danzo Man. Fuck Nier Automata. That game fucking is boring as shit. How are you comparing that to this? Like, Nier Automata is one of those games where it had so much fucking potential that you just needed to add more into it. That's one of the games where, like, it's like one of those bare minimum games that we fucking hype up so much. That's actually a perfect example of a bare minimum game that we've hyped up for like the last like 3 or 4 years. So how is that getting compared to this, where you could do so much more? And somebody make the correlation for me, please, because I don't get it. That's like the second time I've heard that.
Crazy thing.
How did? Because this is the second time I've heard this fucking take.
I've ever done, even more so than Nier Automata, which to me is absolutely a crazy thing to say, which does mean that it is something.
Do you see? Can somebody make the correlation there for me? I don't get it. Nier Automata is boring as fuck. I'll say that multiple times. The only thing good that came out of that game was the cosplay. That was it.
Something special. So that in itself is pretty damn impressive. Overall, then,
can we review? Hey, can we review this in 24 minutes? Do we think he's gonna cover everything in 24 minutes? I don't think he's gonna get to everything in 24 minutes. I'm sorry. I don't think that's possible.
It does seem that this is a really excellent game. Now, if you want some of the less positive points about the game,
the cosplay is every porn star's dream. That is what the cosplay is. That is what every person with a fetish, actually, that's every person with a fetish's dream. That's what Nier Automata is.
Essentially, if you were expecting, say, a Star Citizen-like experience where, you know, you look at a planet, you fly down to that planet. Like, you can literally fly from here to here on the planet's surface and go anywhere. It's not like that. On Star Citizen, you can, say, drive a little dune buggy speeder thing out of your ship's cargo hold, and you could drive around the planet if you wanted.
Has anybody ever played Star Citizen? I've never played Star Citizen. I've heard, I know at the beginning, like, Star Citizen was catching a lot of flack, I think, for like microtransactions or some shit, like 5 years ago. I didn't think that game was still actually up and running though.
It would take you dozens of hours, maybe days to do that. It would be a stupid thing to do, but you could do it because it's all, well, physically there. It's not so in this game. When you are outside a planet, you can't fly down to that planet. You more have to, you know, engage the bit of the UI that allows you to select where you go on the planet, right? So it's one of those things. It's not a complete, full, open, like big No Man's Sky like simulation of a solar system. It is more kind of like chunks that are stitched together in a way that they would hope is as seamless as is possible. Now, unfortunately, some of that is via loading screens or loading screens that are basically just masked by an animation. That's one of the consistent things that I have seen. It seems to me that if you wanted to do, say, a Star Citizen or No Man's Sky style thing, doing that with the amount of just handcrafted content in this game would very likely be a massive challenge. So this is one of those things where rather than having to completely overhaul how things work on a fundamental level, the cost of that probably would have been too great. So it seems like that is just a con, a downside that they knowingly decided to take on in order to facilitate them actually making the game that they have made. Because yes, there are a stupid number of planets. There's loads of handcrafted content on those planets, but as well there is procedural generation being used to stitch that stuff together. And I will talk about the actual amount of play space, because some stuff did appear online, and I think not all the discussion around it was perfect. Overall, then, I think the consensus is that this is a damn fine game. I would say the consensus is perhaps a little bit below what you'd be looking at with Skyrim, but definitely above the critical consensus, or at least the tone of the conversation.
Is that why Star Citizen been in early access for like 12 years? I think so. Like, Star Citizen caught so much flack when it first got released in early access, man. I didn't know it was even still in early access, to be honest. In fact, if you would have told me that right now, I would honestly be shocked, but I guess I shouldn't be, but I just am. And it's hard not to be shocked that that's still in early access.
That was surrounding Fallout 4. So that is...
But I gotta ask, how big is Star Citizen? Because I don't know how big Star Citizen is. Is it as big as this? Is it bigger? It's hard to say.
Is actually pretty damn good news. And good news is exactly what Microsoft would want. The stakes have been extremely high for this one. They've had a rough time, and even like in this period of time, they're going to have to go up against Spider-Man 2 from Sony, which no doubt will do.
They are not going. Whoa, why would you say some stupid shit like that? They're gonna have to go up against Spider-Man from Sony. Like, nah, man, that's not the case. Like, it doesn't even fucking compare. Are you serious, dude? Like, even with all of its flaws, I can easily predict that you are ultimately going to see the same fucking Spider-Man game that you've been seeing for the last couple of years. Here's Sony's games. Hold on real quick. All right, here's Sony's games. Impactful for 2 weeks. They come out, they're exclusive. Impactful for 2 weeks. Everybody moves on. You know why? Because as much as great as it is to have single player games, like, there's way too many multiplayer games out there. And I think if Sony had more of those, I think they would be able to keep up with the current climate of gaming. And it's just more so wash, rinse, and repeat. You get a movie in your hand, and that's true. Like, you sent me that, and that's kind of what I've been uttering for like the last, like, it's the same fucking story. It's the same, what is it, post-apocalyptic stories or emotionally driven movie interactive movies and shit. Like, I'm glad somebody else said it, because I'm just like, maybe I'm just fucking crazy, right? The issue with comparing Starfield with Spider-Man is that there's an end to Spider-Man, and Spider-Man is not about to be this fucking complicated. I'm sorry, it's not. It is a brainless fucking game. It's gonna be a brainless game. It's gonna be the same deal that you got with Miles Morales and the first Spider-Man back in 2018. And basically what's gonna end up happening is that you're gonna play it just like you did God of War 2. You're gonna play it and you're gonna fucking forget about it. Nobody gives a fuck about God of War Ragnarok anymore. Hey, guess what? God of War Ragnarok, they tried to fucking hype that shit up at the end of the year. Why? Oh, that's right. Because you fucking got Forbidden West killed by Elden Ring. Elden Ring swallowed that fucking game up whole. Like, you didn't, like, Forbidden West died on impact, like, straight up. And they could have avoided that. And the biggest issue of all this is that while you're putting out all this production costs and all this shit towards making cinematic games like you do, and don't get me wrong, they're good for the moment. While you're doing that, you're not thinking of the long run. Sorry to say, but the most effort I've seen them put into one of their games was Ghost of Tsushima. Oh, did I say that out loud? Yes, I did. That was the most effort I had ever seen them put in a long time into their game. And Ghost of Tsushima deserves way more credit than what it gets. Hey, guess what? They had DLC that introduced multiplayer, and it was like the most hyped deal of all time. So that's and the bad part about it is even that game still died. That's crazy to me. And this is a guy that's saying he's tired of open worlds and they feel like jobs, but gosh damn did I love that game. I underestimated, and I was one of the people that underestimated that game too, long before it even came out. Like, Roxas was on my ass about it. Every time I said something bad about it, he was on my ass straight up. Played the fucking game and couldn't get over it. Couldn't get out of it. Spider-Man, I played that and I'm just like, yeah, it's cool. It was great for what it was worth. So the fact that you're sitting here and you're comparing something so big, and I'm not saying that this game is perfect by a long shot, because I don't believe it deserves a 10 out of 10 or a 9. That's for sure. That's just me personally after seeing what I've seen. But I do think that for all intents and purposes, I mean, it's a Bethesda game. You're going to get what you expect. It will be Spider-Man. Yes, exactly. It's gonna be Spider-Man. It's gonna be the same fucking game that you got from the last two. Just like, hey, guess what? This is the same game that you get from all the other Bethesda games. It's just bigger. That's basically what it is. And now we're complaining about it. Now we're like, seriously, we got to answer the question. If Microsoft hadn't gone out touting its power, do you think that 30 FPS for this game would matter? Because 30 FPS, I guess I watched it in 4K and it doesn't look that bad. If that's 30 FPS, then geez, it's pretty good. It's pretty good for what it does, and especially for a game this size. Like, consider this: Call of Duty is about 130 gigabytes on your console or your PC. The fact that they could fit that same amount from a game with multiple planets, which somebody brought up a really good point, that some of these planets are actually gas giants that you can't actually visit, so you can't visit every single fucking planet that you come across. And apparently they consider moons planets, so I guess I don't know, but consider that your Call of Duty game is, your average Call of Duty game is 130 gigabytes of fucking shooter. And this is 129 gigabytes of, this is about 129 gigabytes of planetary travel. I mean, they're empty planets, of course, but I mean, the point of it is to build. And I think that people miss that point. I like looking at it from an objective standpoint, like, what the fuck did you expect to happen? Like, he said you can build shit on other planets to colonize them and hire people to manage those said buildings. You can get you can get resources off of the planet. No, Microsoft did tout their power, their console power. That's what I'm saying. They totally touted their console power. They said it was the most powerful console, right? Or am I fucking tripping? So if you tout that it's the most powerful, if you don't tout that it's the most powerful console ever, right? Do we worry about 30 FPS? Because we're not going to play blind here. Like, Microsoft did do that, and so did fucking Sony. But they both did it. Like fucking idiots. They both did it. Come to find out that both consoles aren't even fucking living up to their true potential. What was I saying? Yeah, we were talking about comparing this to Spider-Man. That is the dumbest fucking thing in the world. They have to go up against Wait, Spider-Man doesn't come out till October, right? Am I fucking tripping? Doesn't it come out? Okay, so then I'm not tripping then. Now, doesn't Spider-Man come out in October? Like, why are we worried about what fucking stuff? Like, people are still going to be playing Starfield by the time Spider-Man gets out. The only people that's going to be on Spider-Man's nuts is fucking the Sony ponies trying to convince everybody that fucking... Yeah, you know what the problem with these kids is now? Oh, God, I'm going to sound so fucking old. You know what the problem with these kids is now? They don't understand they don't understand the essence of replayability, the essence of the value of replayability. Because I don't see any reason to go back to Spider-Man and do the same bullshit over and over again. And I mean, for the sake of sakes, you basically do that here too. But I mean, at least you have a little bit more to grasp hold of, right? I don't think that being subjected to one city and then turning around and comparing it to something where you are traveling intergalactically to create things on different planets that are empty for that purpose, to mine resources, do side quests, be a pirate, not be a pirate, because you know they have factions in all of their games anyway. Like, how can you compare something so massive to something that's going to be the same fucking game, copy and paste, minus a different story? I guess I just don't understand the comparison.
Well, companies across the industry were pulling their games release dates to not clash with it, with Baldur's Gate 3 even going forward.
And Sony's games come out way too far apart. Way too far apart for you to be fucking comparing that. The thing that you could compare is how much of a distance Redfall came out from Starfield. That's the conversation we need to talk about. Like, why is it that Sony and Microsoft can't seem to release true exclusives, ones that aren't just timed exclusives, and a decent time set? That's the conversation we need to have. It's not considered intergalactic travel if you fast travel everywhere. Fuck those dumbasses. Like, seriously, like, this is coming from a guy that does not intend to get this game. If you want to sit there for fucking like hours upon hours, if you want that fucking much realism, then fucking smack yourself, please. Please smack your fucking self. That is ridiculous. Like, you are asking way too much. If we have that, this game never comes out, or it comes out as broken as No Man's Sky was at the beginning.
Almost a month so that it wouldn't be clashing with Starfield. Overall then, this is pretty major for Xbox, and it does seem that they've actually...
I don't know about everybody else, but I would like to get to my objectives in space.
Got that big win, which frankly after Redfall, yeah, they would kind of need. Okay, let's talk about bugs then. There are bugs, I think.
That is something I agree with. I'm sorry to all the Xbots out there. The truth of the matter is that when you fail so badly as you did with Redfall, you do have a lot of faith to gain, and that's just business period. If you don't understand that as Sony ponies or Xbots, then you need to actually go and take a look at what and how businesses is ran. Like, your goal as a business is to make sure that people have enough faith in your product that it makes them want to purchase it. You can't just sit there and say and deny that Redfall was a complete and utter disaster, because it was. There's no way they should have cleared that. There's no way that game was ready to come out. There's no way that game there's no way that anybody with a half an ass brain actually inspected that and said it was a good idea to release that. Like, there's no fucking way. And you're sitting there saying that, and I've heard this from Xbots, basically saying, well, you can't actually look at that game and say that it's gonna affect anything, but it is, and that's just reality. It would be the same thing with Sony too. If you want to look at the reality of the matter, how they're running things right now with their games actually affects a lot more than what Sony ponies think. It is nuts how far apart their fucking games come out. The good part, one of the other good parts about this is that if you're a fan of Xbox, you have a game that'll last you a while until their next title, whatever that is, whatever that may be. Like, you have a game to play for a long time as an Xbox person. You don't really have that if you like Sony. Like, Sony gets the time exclusivity deals. Like, what do you have? Like, you have content that others don't get, but they still get the same game. Like, what, you might have a game that's the same. You might have a game for about a year, maybe 6 months. That's about it. Like, we got to look at this industry as realistically as possible. Like, there is no way you can say whatever you want. Like, I could sit here and badmouth fucking Starfield all I want. I could sit here and say, oh my god, they have a lot of glitches, which they do. They have a lot of fucking glitches in this fucking game. Let's not fucking deny the glitches in the game. Let's not deny the fact that there are issues in this game. But it's Bethesda, and it's an open world Bethesda game at that, and you're gonna get what you expect. And you want to know something else? You're not gonna fucking see the end of this game for a while. The impact of this game is not just like, it's not the same as Skyrim. Like, the conversations that he's bringing up right now, these are the conversations that's going to be had for a while. And I argue it's going to change the direction of everything that you see in gaming. Not how games are made. It's going to change how games are reviewed. It's going to change how it's going to change our metrics. It's going to change how we actually look at the industry as a whole. This game has enough content for YouTubers to fucking milk the fuck out of this game. I'm not joking. It has that much. You can milk so much off of something. If you have the right mindset, you can milk a fuck ton out of Starfield. Say what you want about it, but man, I don't see it not benefiting anybody that wants to play it. I just don't. Like, it's one of those, like, I can sit here and say fucking Starfield can SMD, but at the end of the day, like, I'm not gonna sit here and deny that the people that actually want to play it have a lot to fucking gain by playing it. It's gonna be around forever. I don't know if forever. It'll definitely be around until the next big thing. The question is that what are they going to do with Elder Scrolls 6? I almost said Elden Ring 6. Gosh damn, those names are too damn close together. Those names are way too close together. But Elder Scrolls 6, what are they going to do with it? What are they gonna do? Elder Scrolls in space? Like, what do you do with that, man? Like, I think Elder Scrolls won't even compare to what they've done here. We're 6 minutes into this video, though. I saw Elder Scrolls is in early development now. Yeah, guess what? You know what they said like 3-4 years ago? You're not going to get it till 10 years from now. And that was what they said when that original announcement came out. Now we're sitting at the release of Starfield. We're in 2023. We're not going to see fucking Elder Scrolls until like 2033. Crazy fucking talk to me. So I don't care if it's in early development now. I think Todd Howard dropped the ball on this one too. Like, I think he honestly dropped the ball on it. Not because I think it's going to be bad. I think it's just the release time. Like, they already struggle with open world games like this. And it is going to be a while. It's going to be a long time. And it's going to be longer if the gaming strike continues, like the Hollywood strike, is going to be a very long time. Like, seriously, I'm just waiting for an entertainment blackout. I think that's what we need. I think that's what we need to shut Twitter the fuck up. I think that's what we need to shut the entitlement up. All these fucking 60 FPS bros, we need to shut them the fuck up. Like, these are all the things. We need a whole entertainment blackout. If we don't believe music is next, then, I mean, sorry to say, but I also said that it was going to trickle down to the gaming industry too. And hey, if you didn't listen, then hey, that's on you, man. I'm already prepared. I got games already out the ass.
I think that is going to be happening in any game that is large like this one. However, per Tom Henderson's sources, this is the least buggy game launch ever, and more recently, looking at reviews, the reviewers' consensus does appear to be that this is the best performing.
What the fuck is wrong with her eyes? Like, she just looks so surprised. See what I mean, though? Like, I said this yesterday, and I think it's funny. I actually think this is fucking hilarious about this game. They have the most expressionless, expressionable faces ever. Like, and this is kind of a really good example of this. Like, if you were actually talking to her, her eyes would just be looking dead, but then like her eyebrow, you could tell her expressions from her eyebrows, maybe a smile or two. Like, it's the funniest shit of the game.
Least buggy Bethesda Game Studios launch experience that there really ever has been, which certainly is a good thing. It does kind of make sense, though. We, earlier on, I think it was July of this year, we found out that basically all of QA across Microsoft was consumed with this. Right, so that's a lot of QA testing, and of course Starfield is a game that has been delayed multiple times. It was originally supposed to come out, I believe, November of 2022. Evidently that time in the oven has done the game well. As for performance then, unfortunately we are stuck with 30 FPS on consoles. To me personally, that is a real big suck. However, for me, I'm willing to take that for a little bit until I get my PC repaired, because there is actually cross-save progression between the Xbox and, well, at the very least, the Game Pass and Windows version of the game. So that is a good thing. Now, there was some drama leading into this game. Obviously, DLSS is something that a lot of gamers these days are absolutely relying on to be able to play games at acceptable resolutions and frame rates. And this is a game that partnered with AMD. That means that it's all in on FSR 2. FSR 3 has been announced, by the way. I don't believe it's implemented in Starfield yet, though. And people essentially thought, oh damn, this is an AMD game, it's not going to have DLSS. And it truly is an AMD game. In fact, there's even a Starfield branded RX 7900 XTX and Ryzen 7 7800.
Oh wow, so there's even more to this story than meets the eye. Like, I would have never known about any of this stuff right here.
X3D bundle.
Wait, right? I thought AMD Ryzen had like issues for like the last like 3 years though, right? Because they brought out like really faulty faulty hardware.
Yes, their product names are indeed rather confusing. And as for the 7900 XTX, it basically trades blows with a 4080. It costs less, but won't be as good in ray tracing. I think for many people that probably looks quite attractive. That being said, I think its RRP is like $1,000, so it really is expensive. This game, though, does not have DLSS. Of course, DLSS is awesome, but it also is a moat. It is that layer of technology.
Or was it NVIDIA? Was it NVIDIA that had all the problems? I think it was NVIDIA. Maybe I'm fucking tripping. I don't know.
That NVIDIA is kind of placing in and around their cards that makes somebody think, well, you know, if I want to play a new game, it needs to support DLSS, right? So no DLSS does mean that people with the 2000 or 3000 series card maybe won't be getting this.
You see this at the bottom, right? Where it says Microsoft are being crafty. Oh, big fucking shock there. Like Sony and Microsoft both don't do the same fucking shit. And we're shocked by this.
Sorts of performance they could ultimately squeeze out if that technology were there. FSR2 is implemented, but FSR2 is not as good as DLSS2. That being said, it turns out AMD didn't say no. In fact, Frank Azor, who's the head of gaming at AMD, told The Verge that they asked partners to prioritize AMD's upscaling tech, but that they actually don't mandate exclusivity. I think this absolutely means it would be great if there was a PC patch that actually brought DLSS 2 and 3 to this game. Now, that being said, AMD FSR 3 is something that has been announced. That is frame generation, okay? But it's not only for AMD cards. It actually works on the NVIDIA 2000 and 3000 series, which does mean that, if it's at least in striking distance of DLSS 3, then, I mean, hey, that's pretty sick. If you've got like a 3070, you're really not going to feel any want to upgrade then. Okay, so that's what's going on there. Another thing that has been interesting, and of course it's got many people, myself included, and that is the way that Microsoft are being crafty to earn a lot of money out of this game, which I suppose, as is, you know, it is their right. They did acquire Bethesda, or ZeniMax even, for an awful lot of money. So here's the deal. I assumed that to get the early access version of the game, you just need to buy the digital deluxe or whatever it was, but that's actually not the case. Game Pass does count as you owning the game. All you need on top of Game Pass is to purchase the Premium Edition upgrade. So yes, you can buy the Premium Edition and DLC, that kind of thing, and you can essentially buy that on top of Game Pass without having to actually own the base game. For the pricing, the base game is $69.99 in the UK. The Deluxe Edition is £99, coming bundled with Future Story DLC, a skin pack, soundtrack, art book, and then the 5 days of early access. However, you can, for $34.99 or $31.49 if you've got Game Pass, get that Premium Edition upgrade. Now, for a lot of people, maybe adults with a bit of that disposable income, that actually, it's basically saying, hey, you can get it early. I mean, the release date is the early access date. That's what most people are going to think. You can get it early if you just spend, the price of 2 cinema tickets for, a whole unobstructed weekend.
Wait, cinema tickets are now $50 a pop? Are you fucking kidding me?
Of gameplay. I mean, I went and saw Oppenheimer at the cinema lately. It cost 15 quid at IMAX, and to me that was worth it. I loved the movie. So that's just the kind of pricing psychology that they're going to be using with this one. And obviously, if you want
But we can't get mad if Microsoft does it, and then we can't not get mad if Microsoft does it and get mad at Sony if they do it too. Like, we gotta learn to keep that same energy with the whole fucking cycle, man.
If you're a big fan of the game, you want access to it, and you also want to be able to get that Future Story DLC, yes, Game Pass plus the upgrade is a far lower upfront cost, and Game Pass itself is on top of that a really excellent value proposition. That does mean it'll
well, this guy doesn't live here. He lives in the UK. I think he lives in the UK. I think he does. Okay, nah, because Sony is doing it with Baldur's Gate. I honestly think we need to keep that same energy around, because we got to get these fanboys the fuck out of here too. It went on early access today, 9 seconds. Then A digital deluxe edition. Then how the fuck are people playing it like August fucking 29th and 30th then? August 31st, shit like that. Is that all the early access too? Nah, I'm keeping that same energy. That was the PC version? Shit, then the PC version is probably the best looking version I've seen. Fuck. But I'm keeping the same energy all the way around. If you do fucked up ass practices, I'm fucking calling you out on it. Like Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, all of it. Like I'm just calling like we got to get these fucking fanboys the fuck out of here too. We need to like put them to the sword. Wait, is then officially in October? I'm so lost. What are we talking about? Baldur's Gate? I'm talking about Starfield, man. That's what I was talking about. I don't give a fuck about Baldur's Gate. I know that one was out on PC early. No, people are calling out Sony. It's just the fanboys that are doing it, the Xbox that are doing it. And Sony needs to get called out because I finally brushed off the dust of my fucking Xbox yesterday. And I look at the price points on some of the games on Xbox, and one of the things that I noticed is that Xbox doesn't charge $70 for half of the games that I own on PlayStation 5. Which is great, I guess. The problem is that they don't have anything worthy of fucking attention, of my time and attention right now. They have early access for Baldur's Gate if you pay more money for less time than Starfield, but people are mad at early access for Starfield. You want to know something funny? This is how fickle we are in this fucking industry, right? We were not a week or two ago, we were sitting there like, Baldur's Gate's the greatest game to ever come out in 20 years. And then all of a sudden, fucking Starfield hits the fucking map, and then people just lose their fucking minds on all occasions. Did we notice that? Or am I fucking crazy? That's how fucking fickle we are. So it's just like, I figured Baldur's Gate impact wouldn't be that great. The bad part is it's not even out yet. It's gonna be another Baldur's Gate is gonna fall. It's man, because as excited as people were for that, Baldur's Gate is gonna fall to the shadow of all of the shit that's happening around Starfield. It's not even gonna be like how it normally is, where like Baldur's Gate normally falls to like certain fucking popular games. It's definitely gonna get overshadowed by Starfield. Literally both games released the same day, and Baldur's Gate is definitely probably the best game of the year, but people can't be mad at Starfield for early access with a discount on Game Pass. You know, when I looked on Game Pass, it just said I could just download the shit. Yeah, I don't know. That's not gonna get covered. It's not gonna get covered because fucking Microsoft caught lightning in a bottle. But see, that's the very essence of why they caught lightning in a bottle. It's because there are people that think it's a problem. Not only that, it just so happens to release on a year where there's a fuck ton of games too. Oh man. And Microsoft has been at the end of the blade for like the last like what? Fucking 5 years? They've been at the end of the fucking blade? And they've been taking themselves off the end of the blade with their little showcases and shit. Now they bring this. This is the impact that it's going to bring. And this is why Baldur's Gate is going to get overshadowed. Nobody's going to cover Baldur's Gate. Because let me ask you something. How many people with Starfield out and with all of the fucking shit going on, how many people do you think actually going to pay? How many people do you think is going to pay attention to Baldur's Gate? I think there's going to be a decent amount. I don't think it's going to be enough to like take to Twitter and say, oh my God, there's so much news for Baldur's Gate 3. Like, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think Starfield is going to be in the news, overshadowed, talked about. It's already highlighting how people do fucking games journalism. It's already highlighting how the public sees games. It's good. We are in a pivotal moment, and the crazy part is, if we're not having this conversation for two reasons. If these two things happen, if we don't have as many games this year, we're not having the same conversation about Starfield. And if Starfield was the lead into the year, then the conversation completely changes. This shit happened at it happened at the right place and the right time. And I know Phil Spencer and Todd Howard are eating this shit the fuck up in their offices right now. They are eating it up. Meanwhile, at Baldur's Gate, let's go early access just like Starfield, just to get into the media and give people what they want on PlayStation 5, and nobody gives a fuck. Come on now. Let's not pretend like we're blind here. Like this, I'm not hyped for Starfield, but you know what I am hyped for? Now, what I'm hyped for? I'm hyped for the changes that this shit is about to fucking bring, because this shit is about to blow the fuck up in the game industry, and I'm all for it. I'm totally for it.
People more into Game Pass, and that'll be a nice trickle down to the other Game Pass games, and it will keep people in their ecosystem. So really my TLDR here is, yeah, it's smart business, and it does feel kind of bad the way that and to your point that nobody's paying attention to PlayStation 5, I'd argue they expect it from them. They don't expect that kind of shit from Microsoft. Like, Microsoft took the gloves off. Isn't that what we wanted? We wanted Microsoft to take the gloves off just like fucking Sony did, right? And they did. They took the fucking gloves off. And this is what happens. They took the gloves off. They did what the fuck they wanted to do. They promised you a bunch of shit, and people were and there are some people that disappointed and some people that just don't give a fuck. Like, they took the fucking gloves off. We should have seen that they took the gloves off back during their showcase after PlayStation's long and drawn out fucking showcase, because they were the same thing, just Microsoft was shorter. What does PlayStation do? They try to put games on their showcases first so that it looks like a PlayStation exclusive. Hey, guess what? Microsoft did the same fucking thing earlier. I saw that. I'm just like, wait, that is not a Microsoft exclusive. I spent like what? It was a 20-minute, I believe it was like a 20 or 30-minute fucking showcase that they did. And I spent like the whole time, the first one, not the second one, I spent that whole time sitting there like, this ain't their show. This ain't their game. This ain't their game. This ain't their game. And I think they showed, that was the showcase where they actually showed it was the first showcase where they actually showed Starfield. It was the very first showcase where they showed aspects of Starfield. Got everybody hyped up for it, because now you're getting to see it. They took the gloves off, man. This is what happens. Because Sony's had the gloves off. They've just been rocking brass knuckles the whole time. They've been taking away games from other platforms, putting out timed exclusivity. Like, do you think that when Microsoft made their purchases, fucking purchases of Bethesda, that they weren't planning on taking the gloves off? Absolutely not.
There's no way they weren't going to take them fucking gloves off after that. LOL, for $80, you can play Baldur's Gate 4 days early. Took your $80 PS Plus sub through. If you have that, then people aren't calling Sony out besides a select few, especially because. And it is bull. All right, so let me be one of the select few. That's bullshit. I think that's straight bullshit. But I mean, I gotta keep this. But guess what? I expect it from fucking Sony at this point. What the fuck? Like, if I don't like something from Sony at this point, I'm just like, you know what? I'm not interested. I'm not fucking interested. I don't even want to give it the time of day. I don't want to give that game a time of day. You want to know something? While you and Magician were having that argument about whether or not Horizon Zero Dawn was supposed to be game of the year or not for like fucking 50 billion episodes of War on Publishers, I was sitting there thinking like, what is so fucking great about Horizon Zero Dawn? And hey, guess what? Sony has gotten off on overselling it or overpricing shit on the things that it sells. And they've been doing that shit for years. And now people are now starting to fucking see this. Are we kidding me? I've been looking at this shit too. When Xbox One first came out and you could do all the shit with the Kinect, and people had all these fucking issues because you can inside my house with the camera, which I could understand that part, but I mean, it could do everything. It could hook up to your fucking cable, and people, it's just too much for the gaming industry right now. We're not looking for that. We're looking for the games. And so when that fucking happens, and the fucking Sony saw that Microsoft was getting hit by that, what the fuck did they do? Sony put out a bunch of announcements for all these exclusive games, and then they put on a boring showcase at E3 that was so garbage, and then they showed a bunch of fucking hardware that did the exact same shit that the fucking Kinect did, and we are shocked by this. Are we fucking kidding me? And so when Microsoft does the same fucking shit, guess what? They're not on the fucking high seat like fucking Sony is. Hey, they're gonna play fucking the way they want to, and they should have been doing it a long time ago. Hey, you want to know something? I argue that if we're talking about competition and people actually want Microsoft or Sony to compete, this is the kind of shit you need. And they're going to give you what it is that you're looking for. And they did. That is absolutely fucking crazy that nobody actually sees that. We only see what the fuck we want to see. Horizon Zero Dawn is good, but it's not that good, and they keep releasing it at the worst time. That's because they keep setting them motherfuckers up to fail. That's Sony's fucking problem. That's nobody else's problem. Guess what? We got 2 good games out of it. Hey, thanks. Hey, Sony, want to announce another Horizon game? Shit, because I guarantee you announce another Horizon game, we're going to have a better game that follows it. That's guaranteed. That's the pattern now. If you want a really good game, wait for Horizon to get announced and then see what comes out around the same time. Well, that's all right. Nobody's going to have anything to play. They not careful on any side. Oh, of course not, because everybody's fucked now. Now people got to shut the fuck up. Now, like I said, if we have an entire entertainment blackout, you know what that actually affects? And people don't actually see that. Hey, guess what? I'm going to say it here. I'm going to say it now. And you want to know something? This video is going to get ignored. And people are not going to fucking pay attention to it. And people are going to argue me down about it. And that's what the fuck it's whatever at this point. I don't even give a fuck anymore. Like, I'm getting off on looking at this shit and saying, hey, you know, I'm good. Hey, if I got to churn butter for entertainment, I'm good with it at this point, because y'all on some bullshit. But if we have an entire industry and in entertainment go on a blackout, that then affects retail next. Hey, guess what? our entertainment is fucking top notch on the fucking when it comes to financials. We're in top notch ranking on that. So if you don't have any form of entertainment, guess what? You're saying what you're saying right now. But by next year, you will not be saying that if all of this shit keeps going. Hey, music's next. Somebody's going to get fed up with music because all this streaming shit, all these subscription services and shit, all the hours that people are working to put into this and not seeing anything into return. Hey, guess what? You're not going to have it. Hey, guess what? They voted to go into the strike for video games as of last night. So guess what? I'm sorry, it might have been this morning. Oh no, it was last night. They voted that. So why do I care about it? We got Starfield making a fucking impact. The impact that, I didn't expect. I did not expect this fucking impact. I did not see this shit coming at all. I guess I should have seen it coming by when people were saying, oh, it's gonna be game of the year. Like, I should have seen that fucking coming. Hey, guess what? Guess whose impersonation that is? Everybody on fucking Twitter. That's my impersonation of you. Cause y'all on some other shit. Y'all on some other bullshit. Y'all should have seen it coming. I ultimately should have seen that coming. The minute people started talking, this is game of the year, and we were sitting there like, wait, we should wait until until this game came out. Everybody better be ready not to have anything to play. Well, it's last night. They are officially on strike, and we may not have any more games depending on the voice actors for a while now. And that's just the voice actors. That's just voice acting. Do we think it ends there, though? No. Guess what? Microsoft's going to get put to the sword, and Sony's going to get put to the sword. Oh, shit. Why? Because of two things. One, you have Game Pass. Two, you have PlayStation Plus. And they're going to look at these things. And then the writers and devs may sit down and say, oh, man, we need to go on strike. We need to fucking sit down and fucking take a look at we need to reevaluate what we're doing. We're spending over 100 hours at these fucking places, and they're only paying us like 60 to 80 hours. Like, what did you expect? Like, and then meantime, what is it that you showed me that Nintendo has Nintendo has a work ethic that we could only hope to fucking gain. Oh shit. Japanese devs don't have the same problems that we do because they know how to fucking put shit out. Oof. Man, it's going to be a long year. It's going to be a long year for some of y'all. I'm good. Hey, I'll touch some grass if that's what I got to do. I'll touch grass if the impact in the gaming industry happens the way it needs to fucking happen. Get these devs the fuck, or I'm not devs. I'm sorry. Get these journos the fuck out of here. And once we get the showcases the fuck out of here, and once we get the journos out of here, and we get the showcases the fuck out of here, we can finally get rid of the Dorito dope. Fuck him. Because he's just a face at this point, creating the same fucking copy paste stories that y'all be falling for every single fucking time. 97% retention. 97, dude, that's unreal. Hey, not a shock. Not a shock. But we need to get the clownery out of this shit. You want to know something? That gaming is the most unique fucking form of entertainment that we have. Why is that? Because we can actually interact with it. You can't interact with the fucking music or movies or fucking what else is there? Yeah, you can't react with the music or movies the same way that you do with video games. It's not fucking possible. unless you fucking create music yourself, unless you create a movie yourself, but you don't have the same interactions that you do with a video game. It is the most unique form of entertainment. We don't need the same fucking clown shows that we normally get. Hey, if you want to have a successful, I would argue, if you want to have a successful showcase, make it more interactive. You know, the way video games are interactive. Like, isn't that the point? Isn't that what it used to be? Interaction? Like, don't just showcase what the floor looks like. Like, if you're gonna have a big ass stage, fucking pull people from the fucking audience and let them fucking try some shit. Give them the love that they fucking, that show them love. Show them that you love what you do. Bring them up on stage and stop being fucking camera hogs for no fucking reason. You want to know something? I blame G4 TV for all this shit. And I may be wrong about that one. I don't give a fuck. But G4 TV was the biggest fucking mistake ever to hit your cable box. I also blame what was it? I blame Spike TV too. I blame them for all of this shit. For all the circusry, for all of the circus shit anyway. Because what did that do? That opened the door for people that would not fucking appreciate it for what it was. Instead of saying, hey, man, come on in because we can't fucking gatekeep you, man. But, man, take a look around. Like every other fucking form of entertainment, you find your own genre. Find your genre. Find something that you like to play. But now where are we at? We're in this fucking state where we want our reviewers to tell us what to play and what not to play. And then we get mad when they score certain games at what? 7? 7 is bad? Like 7 is safe. 1 through 10 system is safe. But you want them to do that for you? No, that's something you got to determine then. And then even after that, like even then, like you will have already spent your money in the first place. So we invited that in. We invited these people in that wanted to have their say so in video games. How much flack has video games taken in the last 10 years? Somebody genuinely came out and said, we are harming it. What did they say? We're harming the freedoms of video game characters because they have choices too. Somebody genuinely fucking said that. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? This is where we're at right now. That is so fucking crazy to me. Stapleton, the guy that has Starfield at 7, gave Duke Nukem an 8. Duke Nukem wasn't even worthy of talking about. Duke Nukem ain't been good since like the 80s, 90s. What the fuck are we trying to bring that shit back for? They brought that shit for the PlayStation 2, I believe. That shit was garbage. That shit was trash. Like I said, if Dan Stapleton should have just raked this game like a 3 and his life wouldn't be any worse than it is right now. Let's just be honest about it. Just be real. If you hate the fucking game, don't be indecisive about it. Just say I hate the fucking game. Just say, man, there are aspects about it, but nah, I ain't recommending this shit. I'm going to give this shit a 4. Because that's what he might as well have done. Because 7, anything below an 8 is looked at bad in the industry. And we still can't find a way to create a standard to where it's not safe. Oh, that's right. Because we can't tell devs that their games fucking suck if they actually suck. That's why you get these panels, these post-show fucking panels where people will seriously sit at the top of the fucking, they'll seriously sit in the show after the show is done and say, there was a lot of amazing games up there. And I'm the one sitting there, suck my dick. There was no way you think all of those games were fucking great. You are just saying that because you're getting paid to say it. Like, where the fuck is the integrity at? I'm waiting for that one person in these showcases that just fucking talks crazy. I'm talking about they get up there and they hear all the guys around them say, these games were great. And they just say, are you fucking kidding me? You need fucking help. You need to take a look at that, because what I saw is not, I don't know what you saw, but that's not what I saw. There was a couple of games I'm questioning. And I think it would be cool to fucking, I think that's cool to have genuine fucking conversations about this, but we can't anymore because the industry is so fucking cookie cutter now. No. The game that was delayed, Duke Nukem Forever, he gave it 8, said he was about it. That sounds like something he would say. People have had problems with Dan for years, so I don't know. Like, we can look at that. We can look at that in a little bit too if we want to. I'm just saying, like, we need some realism in this fucking industry. We need actual standards. And if Starfield is the one and this strike fucking actually brings it out, then fuck it, man. I'm for it. I'm so done with the fucking cookie cutter shit. Like, the Dorito dope is fucking cookie cutter. Every time he comes out, he has the same fucking copy paste fucking smile, says the same copy paste fucking shit, brings out the same fucking copy paste fucking shows, same copy paste fucking announcements. Everything about him is so fucking fake. And you want to say that he's fucking stand-up guy? Like, no, what? Why are you falling for this stupid shit? Like, why are we not getting the games like we did this year, man? Because this year has been amazing for fucking games. And you mean to tell me that the showcase means more? Get out of here. Because that's not making you money. That's not making you as much money as fucking bringing out a game. But pumping games out like people need to be doing. That's what needs to fucking happen. And you need a system that works for the people that work for you. And we haven't figured that out. Why has Japan figured that out, but we can't? That's nuts to me. That is absolutely crazy to me. Why are we not taking from them? Because they work crazy. They work like crazy. And they still have they still get treated with enough respect to know that, hey, you got families. And that's saying a lot. Because in Japan, you work. Okay? Let's be real. You work. In Japan, if you live in Japan, you're working like crazy, sometimes without pay. That's saying a lot. And he gave Jedi Survivors a 9, which he reviewed on the PS5, but he reviewed Starfield on a PC. And you know what's funny about that is they had to fix the PC version of. That's crazy. That's nuts, because if he reviewed Starfield on PC, right, and those were the PC versions that I was looking at, then that looks amazing. I will say that if that's the PC version, I am dreading what it looks like on the console version. I am gonna say that. Now, I'm glad if I'm wrong, but still, it would turn. It wouldn't run, but the guy who chooses PC to play wouldn't know that because you somehow miss it, because it's hard to fucking review this game the way that people are reviewing it. That's why, like, I'm very surprised, like, the video that I watched yesterday, that this guy took, like, massive amounts of notes on it. He took a shit ton of notes on this fucking game. Like, he has, like, spreadsheets of shit. And he was just like listing off all of the things that you could see that were repeated assets. And that's not something that you would get from like an IGN. Why? Because they're on like a strict fucking schedule, for one. 2, you're not hiring people with a half-a-nuts brain to actually be able to pay attention to what the fuck is happening in the game, because they have to keep going back and changing up their fucking reviews. Alana Pierce. Oops.
The early access thing is happening. You could contrast it though with Sony. They have just increased the price of their PlayStation Plus yearly subscriptions, and of course new Sony games tend to not come out on PS Plus, likes of God of War Ragnarok.
Okay, but why is the guy that notoriously plays games on PC who reviews for PC Gamer before it plays Jedi Survivor on PS5 but not PC, everything else on PC. And so all of these people, see, that's a good question. And so then all of the people that are actually defending this bullshit, you cannot dismiss why it looks like to some people that it looks like a fucking conspiracy against Xbox, especially when most of the games that they fucking reviewed for Xbox have been garbage reviews or not reviewed at all. That's nuts to me, man. Like, so you mean in this business, just like every other business, you gotta pay for fucking time on fucking certain platforms? That is crazy to me. But IGN's supposed to be equal grounds, right? That's what I thought. I thought IGN was equal grounds. I seriously thought that. And it's crazy that you can play something on PS5 and then turn around and say, "Well, I'm not a console guy. I'm more of a PC guy." And then turn around and review stuff. This guy is like, you know, the funny thing is he must have a lot of amnesia for all of the shit that he's done in the past. Because damn, man, like, for real. If somebody, I'm telling you, he's gonna have a really bad day if people start producing half of the shit that he's done. And then if he tries to cap his way out of that, then man, get him the fuck out of here. And then start gutting IGN. Start gutting IGN one by one. Start gutting them, because there's no place for any of the people that have reviewed anything. For anybody that talks about this realism shit, oh man, I hate to do this. This is my worst example ever, but people are going to make me pull it the fuck out. The worst example that I have ever is when IGN reviews a game like this, or people review games like this for not having the realism of space travel or something. They want that realism, right? But if Call of Duty comes out with certain amounts of realism, then it's a big fucking deal and we're pulling shit off the shelves. Do we find that fucking funny? You get the realism that the devs choose to give you. If you don't like it, you don't have to like it. It is not your obligation to like it. It is not your obligation to make the purchase. It is a choice. That is your choice. And they may try to use business psychology to hook you in with the trailers and shit like that. Yeah, great. But guess what? It is still your choice. It's your money. You work for it. It's your fucking money. Tell these motherfuckers, like, look, you ain't getting a dime for that. You are not getting a dime out of me. Like, why is it we're too afraid to do that? Instead, we go on and we have to be heard. So, you know, hey, I guess actions don't speak louder than words. It is crazy too for a PC guy that doesn't play consoles that much. It's looking like you've already sided. Hey, guess what? He had God of War. This is the guy who made an Xbox rant with God of War shit on. Isn't that what he did? He typed out a whole fucking rant. He has a picture of him with God of War shit on. Isn't that what he did? They did. Wow, he's so fucking hypocritical. Like,
they come out later, right? Spider-Man 2. It's not going to.
We are 12 minutes into this video too, and I have not heard a single fucking true. I haven't heard a true review from him. I've just seen him just basically putting news out. So is he actually going to review the game for himself, or is this just the news of what he sees? He's doing what we're doing right now.
To be there on, on PlayStation Plus on launch day, or at the very least, for somebody who just has a Game Pass subscription, 5 days after early access, they can just play the big new game without any additional upfront cost. So even though it does feel bad in terms of a value proposition in the market, yeah, it's actually very competitive with Sony. Okay, there was a letter from Todd, an internal...
Which is what everybody asked for, is competition in the game space, and they took the gloves off.
Memo that leaked.
So don't complain when stupid shit like this happens on either side, because this is what you're gonna get. This is what you're gonna get. Stop giving it money if it's a problem. It's that simple.
Online. I'm not going to fully go through it, but I just want to call out a few things. He talked about pitching this game in 2013 to the now deceased Robert Altman, who co-founded ZeniMax many years ago.
That's true. This game has been talked about for a long time. Oh man, I forgot how long it's been since Starfield is actually announced.
The core development of the game was from 2020 to 2023. However, you might think, 3 years? That's very fast for a big game. And yes, it absolutely is. I'd say core development's probably a little bit more than that.
I don't think that. You want to know what? I have a theory about that. So I think while they were putting out other stuff and re-releasing Skyrim for like 20 million times, I think they were creating assets for this game so that they could actually start on the development process to actually be able to release it. And I think in order to do that, that would have taken that long to be able to get that out.
That, but also,
that's just a theory though. It doesn't mean that's what actually happened, so don't fucking take my word at face value. It's just a theory.
Prototyping, right? Pre-production. For a game like this, those things are going to be absolutely humongous. So don't take this 2020 through 2023 that's mentioned in this memo as being like how long it takes to make a game like this. That's not really the case, because he does mention core development. Of course, core development is going to be when you are really ramping up production, right? So that's when the headcount is massively increasing, but you do need a pretty decent period of time before that. Because, I mean, hey, if you increase your headcount massively, but you don't have an amazing plan, then your game's going to be a shit show. And of course, playing AAA games, we are all too familiar with that kind of thing going on. He does call out QA's role, which is always nice to see. QA is often quite underappreciated, and thankfully this is a game that, well, it seems QA had enough time, and devs actually had enough time to act in QA. Kind of surprising when that happens. He also talked up Phil and Xbox as well. So that was the letter that leaked from Todd. Now, speaking of Phil Spencer, he did talk about having played 200 hours of the game across 15 playthroughs. Do, of course, remember that'll just be different times he's had to restart, likely because of different, development builds of the game. As for Phil, he likes being a space pirate, something I can get behind as somebody who at least likes the idea of playing a lot of Star Citizen.
I imagine when Phil Spencer starts playing a video game that you develop, that it's like one of those deals where like the Godfather is sitting there in front of you and he's like inspecting some kind of deal or something, and you're just sitting there with fucking palms. He's got his back towards you, facing the screen. You hear the clicking, or you don't even hear the game. You just hear like the clicking of the fucking controllers, and then they're just sitting there like bouncing up and down like, oh, what does he think? What does he think? What does he think? That's what they're saying in their mind. And then he turns around like, that's what I picture him doing. So tell me this. In his defense of his reviews, Dan has said the games are different genres. It's not the same, but when he critiqued the NPCs, he said that they aren't the same quality as games like Last of Us, which was a terrible fucking comparison. That's a terrible comparison. The Last of Us is not the same fucking game as Starfield. That would be like me comparing Metal Gear Solid to, what's a really good title to compare that to? Comparing Metal Gear Solid to like Ghost of Tsushima. That's like worlds apart. Or God of War Ragnarok on PS5 games, and said there needs to be a starting point to compare graphics fidelity. And so which is it? We can compare games to each other and reference them or not, Dan? He's just contradictory. He's very contradictory. And he will continue to be like, are we really going to take advice from somebody who doesn't even know whether or not he likes something or not? Like, it doesn't even sound like he's like confident in his fucking work, right? Or am I crazy? That's something else you got to bring to a review too, is like, you got to have confidence, and it just doesn't seem like he has confidence.
He also says it's more Oblivion than Skyrim, which to me is quite interesting. Oblivion,
Which is crazy to me too. That's crazy. How many people have talked about Oblivion? Again, I said this yesterday. Like, I love Oblivion. But nobody talks about Oblivion like they do Skyrim. And you say this game compares to fucking Oblivion? Those games are worlds apart. Have you played Oblivion lately? I have. Don't look like this. It's still fun, but it doesn't look like this. That is crazy comparison to me. That is an absolute crazy comparison.
to me, was like less kind of homogenous, and I think Oblivion had like better side content as well. And of course, looking at the critical reviews, people are certainly talking up that side content as well. So that's actually quite good. And then,
which is crazy. Who would have thought Oblivion would come back into the conversation? Because I haven't heard anything about that in a long time out of anybody's mouth. It's always Skyrim this and Skyrim that. And I think Skyrim had way more to do than Oblivion did. I did like Oblivion. Like, I'm not going to lie. There was so much that I feel like Skyrim was missing after playing Oblivion. Like, it looked beautiful and there was still a lot to do, but there was stuff in Oblivion that, like, I don't know what it is. I wish I could describe it. Maybe I'll do something on Oblivion compared to Skyrim sometime. I don't know. What do y'all think?
and to talk about scale and mods. So there's been talk of, thousands of planets, 10% of them are habitable. Procedural generation is used in addition to hundreds of hours worth of handcrafted content. There's people who've been playing this game for a long ass time and are basically saying there is so much here, especially, of course, with how innovative the New Game Plus feature of this game actually is. Again, Gene Park saying like, whoa, this is more than Nier Automata, which is like, again, a crazy thing to say, given just how high a bar for a New Game Plus implementation.
Raven with the follow-on kick, thank you.
Now, according to Pete Hines, who, of course, we've talked about plenty of times on the channel, not all good, but anyway, per Pete, modders can create new quest lines, new characters, and also new planets. Modders will be able to use the procedural generation world creation tools to aid them as well. Now, you might be thinking, what about the Creation Club? And that's where I think about another Microsoft-owned game. I mean, there is the Creation Club in Skyrim and Fallout, obviously, but...
I gotta say, like, they've come a long way from where they were. Like, if I'm not mistaken, weren't Bethesda, like, against mods at the beginning? And then they created like a whole club around so that people can actually mod the things that they wanted to. Of course, if you're a console player, you get a lot less than you do if you're a PC player. There's a lot going on in PC mods. But it's funny because I thought they were once against the mod community and then they built something around it. I think. Isn't that? I could very well be wrong about that. Oh, it might have been Microsoft, not Bethesda. Bethesda might not have had the problem with that. I think it was Microsoft that had the problem with it originally.
Minecraft, because you get the Minecraft Marketplace on Bedrock Edition for consoles. There, people buy the premium Minecraft coins, and you can buy all sorts of things. I remember playing things like Tekkit back in the day, right? The industrial Minecraft.
I have yet to hear him say anything else about whether or not he played this shit. I have very, like, I'm very shocked, like, at the moment that he hasn't played anything
stuff. And now I can actually see like little mini expansions that are basically community mods that have been uploaded there. Well, not community mods, but projects anyway that have been released on the Minecraft.
We are 16 minutes in this video too. Haven't heard a single fucking thing that he has to say about it.
Marketplace. So it seems like quite an interesting situation, really. On the one hand, it's ideal. I mean, say DVD at Impera, I forget exactly, but the fantastic mod pack for like a lot of the Total War games, right? For Rome 2. That's amazing, and it's free. The other flip side to this is that if people can make money out of doing Creation Club stuff, well, thousands of dollars by just making loads of good quality content that a form of market dictates has value, right? That's like the steel man, that's the bull case for the sort of Creation Club thing. Obviously the bear case is a lot of the bad things that happened, like community mods being yanked and stuff that's just not particularly good value. So
whoops, I slowed it down.
To see how that shakes out. Obviously, we do know there is one piece of story DLC that's coming because that's included in the premium edition. But what was said in a Gamescom interview is that they noted how Starfield could indeed be a Skyrim-like game in terms of how long its tail is as a product, and it seems that they have worked that into their plan. So I would imagine some sort of large Creation Club-like thing. And to be honest with you, for a game like this, I'd be totally down for that. Next then. Scale bad. Okay, I would show you the video, but ZeniMax, of course, took it down because it was from a leaked version of the game. By the way, yes, leaked versions of the game. I believe there was a guy who works in distribution. He nabbed 6.
Oh, yeah, that's right. There was a whole fucking thing around it. You know how much Starfield has started right now? Like, I think somebody had, like, what? Yeah, he had, like, 67 copies of the unreleased game stolen. And now he's facing the felony charges from it. Like, Starfield is just, like... Starfield, I don't know what it is about Starfield. It is making people fucking crazy. It is making both sides fucking crazy. It's funny as hell. It's amazing at the same time too.
67, if memory serves, copies of Starfield, and he tried to sell them to people, and of course he also videotaped his crimes, even live streamed them. That's not a sensible thing to do. Tip, if you're doing a crime, don't shoot the evidence yourself and post it online. That's stupid.
He thought he was gonna get away with it. Why wouldn't he try it? Like, that's what he was trying to do. Not a smart fucking thing to do, but, hey, that's the generation we live in now. We get to fucking film everything that we fucking do, and it just so happened he decided he wanted to live a life of crime and film it for some reason. Don't do that either.
Anyway, that person's been arrested and is likely in some form of trouble. Okay, one of the things that leaked, though, was somebody...
We are 18 minutes in, haven't heard a fucking review from him.
Basically just, in a sense...
I'm gonna keep doing that, too. Like, we're gonna be in this, like... I'm looking for his fucking genuine consensus on the game, not with an article present. That's what I'm looking for.
...of the game world running, and they run for like 10 minutes, and they hit a boundary. And the game pop-up says, open map to load another region or return to your ship. And people are like, what? You can only run for 10 minutes? Or 20 minutes, or whatever it was. I think it was 10. The thing is, people who have actually played the game, who are sort of playing the game naturally, basically say that would never happen. They've literally never seen it in 2 weeks of playing, and it's a non-issue. So again, this is just down to how the game is actually stitched together, likely because it is, it's loading in like little divided chunks of the game all at once, which in a way is unfortunate. However, right, if they're making this in Creation Engine and they're not going to do a complete from the ground up new tech stack for their game, well, something's got to give, right? So it's that thing where you could go Star Citizen if you wanted, right? Where that whole planet is really there. You can go absolutely anywhere. Like the level of, the floating point precision supported by the engine is absolutely cracked, right? You could do that. But all the time you're doing that, you're not going to be confidently able to build content for the game. What are you going to do? Something's got to give. And ultimately, I think they made the right choice. Often there are levels of...
Yes, thank you. He said it. If they do everything that people are complaining about, this game doesn't come out this year. This game takes another fucking 10 years to do. You know how fucking much time that takes just to put this out alone? Like, I don't think half of the people that talk about this shit actually understand what's going on behind the fucking scenes, or maybe they just don't give a fuck about it at all. But I mean, like I said, if you're worried about shit like space travel and how you get to a planet, and you want to sit there for fucking hours, then you don't get this game. Then if they do that, we're not sitting here having these conversations right now. We're sitting here having a different conversation, like, where the fuck is Starfield at? That's the same conversation we've been having for a while.
Of simulation.
And things do have to give in certain aspects to release a game this big. It's just reality, man. Like, you can't sit here and expect everything that you're looking for to be there at launch if you want to see the game. That's the same mistake we made with Cyberpunk. And we're trying to make the same fucking mistake again.
That are great for the most hardcore, but ultimately it's like, yeah, maybe we'll have to dock a point for that. maybe the game only gets to be a 9 out of 10 because it's held back by those technical limitations, but the thing that you buy from taking that knowing loss is, oh, the game actually exists. Your team, as it is able to build the game and people can play it. So it's one of those things, kind of sucks, but them's the breaks, and in realistic gameplay scenarios, people are not reporting that it is a problem whatsoever. The Elder Scrolls 6, it's going to be a while. Now, in between the lines, there's something that Todd couldn't really say, which is basically just, yeah, you know, we totally just announced the Elder Scrolls 6 because at the same time we also announced Fallout 76, which we weren't sure if you would like, and the Elder Scrolls Blades, which is a mobile game. So, you know, a hat.
Yeah, he did say that they announced that a little bit too soon. You think, Todd Howard? Because that game that you just put out.
Actually show a real core Bethesda thing in order to, you know, keep people happy. Now, of course, what we have since learned is that the Bethesda of that era, the ZeniMax of that era, was making that very large push into live games.
I want to know where the 6 is going to take place at, though. Where have we been? That's what we need to go. We need to go through the history of Elder Scrolls. Because I think we went to Hammerfell already, didn't we? In like the second one? The first one I don't remember, but then the third one was Morrowind. Fourth one was Cyrodiil. Fifth one is Skyrim, of course. So where else are we going?
Where Redfall, of course, came from, where Arcane Austin were basically made to make a multiplayer co-op loot shooter. And of course, that initial vision was quite significantly stripped back but not really be as egregious. But of course, it was not a successful game. And of course, Wolfenstein Youngblood, that was a mistake, and many other decisions that company made. So it still is that very rumbly time. So basically, I think you obviously can't talk about that, but I think we very much all know that that is the reason.
And that is why I did not get hyped for this game at all. And I'm still not hyped. Like I said, I'm hyped for everything around it. But they've just done a lot of things that just weren't so impactful. But they caught something. Like I said, something about Starfield. When people wake up in the morning and they see Starfield in their phone, it's just like they just fucking lose it. And they fucking go crazy as soon as they see it. So I don't know.
And why the Elder Scrolls 6 was announced so damn early. What we can, though, say is that the Elder Scrolls 6 is in development right now. That said, right, so if core development lasts for 3 years like it did for Starfield, and you've got maybe 2 years of pre-production, prototyping, all that stuff to do beforehand, I would call 2028, perhaps. So
they're expecting it in less time than they originally fucking announced, which Todd Howard said like a few years back that they weren't expecting this for another 10 years. So they've shortened the time now? What kind of technology are they working with now? I'm curious to see how that works.
Maybe 2027, but that's really a push. Kind of depends what else is is on the cards for them, and especially remember because
it has to be better than Skyrim 2 and Starfield combined. Oof.
They're now owned by Microsoft. Microsoft, the first party, will have different priorities to ZeniMax when they were acting as a third-party studio. What does Microsoft want? It wants blockbusters with massive IP that will build its platform. As for ZeniMax, well, back in the past, right, they didn't care about pushing a platform. They just needed to sell copies. They're a third party, right? Ideally in the Bethesda Games launcher, if you remember that absurd thing. So really, the situation is different. I can very much see Microsoft just letting them focus on the Elder Scrolls 6, not really doing any sort of ill-fated misadventures like with 76, which in fairness has somewhat turned around. So yeah, 2028, maybe 2027, but probably on the Xbox Series X2, the Xbox 720, the Xbox 2, or the Xbox 2.
We are 22 minutes into this shit, and here's where's your shit on Starfield?
Who the hell knows what we'll call the damn thing, but almost certainly on the next generation of consoles. Wouldn't be surprised if they're going to use Avowed as a late generation title, kind of tide us over, and then maybe use the Elder Scrolls 6 as the absolute, big wedge to get people over to a Microsoft platform with the next console generation. That's kind of what I would envision. As for me, then, well, I'm visiting family this weekend, so I don't get to spend 20 or 30 hours playing Starfield, which is sad to me. Because it does seem a lot of the things that...
So this video was just about news surrounding Starfield. Okay, I'm over it. That's cute. Don't care. What else do we have? The last 2 minutes? What are you gonna pack into the last 2 minutes? And actually, there was only a minute left. So he even said himself, I'm not gonna get to spend 20 to 30 hours playing it because I'm out of town visiting family. Which seems to be the case a lot, right? There's a lot of tips and tricks out here already. Somebody did $1 million ship. So it's what is it? It's Starfield Cribs. Take a look at this ship. This ship this ship has platinum platinum steak bones that I use to steer into the galaxy. I mean, that's no different from me watching it live stream, right? I'm not gonna diss that. At least he'll have formulated something, right? Oh, I'm curious.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. We're doing like a little podcast chat today with Gene and Andy. Gene, would you like to introduce yourself? This is the first time we've had you on one of these.
Yeah, it's the first time I'm talking to any of you, both of you, in person, so it's a great pleasure.
Alana Pierce. Let's see what the fuck she has to say.
Thanks so much for giving me your platform here.
I'm actually covering her face, so it's my bad. But you know, it is what it is.
And yeah, hi. For people who don't
you get to see my lovely face in turn.
Know me? I'm Gene Park. I'm a games reporter for the Washington Post.
Andy, who are you for anyone who doesn't know?
Hey everybody. I grew up in the Rio Grande Valley, South Texas, right on the border of Texas and Mexico. And I work for a place called Kinda Funny, and we do a lot of media coverage and mainly just goofing and trying to be silly and try to make a living in San Francisco.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah. Oh.
Today we are talking about Starfield. There's so much to say and so many discussions to be had. We were originally going to do this yesterday, and I was like, why don't we wait for reviews to drop? Because I was expecting like 7s and 8s, which it did get. But you are both on the much more positive side of that. So, Gene, why don't you start us off? Like, how do you feel about Starfield? Give us your quick review if you can.
I'm not super surprised about the 7 and 8s because, and I think you hear this a lot if you've been paying attention to the discourse today, that the game really takes, and we'll be talking about it more later tonight too, but the game really takes a while to get going, right? So even while I was writing my review, and we received the code 2 weeks ago, but during our first week, I was just like, I don't know how I feel about this game. I didn't hate it. It's not to say that the game is bad, but I just didn't really know where I landed on the game. And then about maybe like 15, 20 hours in, I was like, okay, now it's starting to click. And I just ended up really falling in love with it. And it just really started to reveal itself as like Fallout or Skyrim in space, which is exactly what I wanted. And so much of the game is kind of what I expected already. And I think that played into my overall final analysis of the game.
Expectations, pretty important, turns out. Andy, how about you? Where are you landing on it at this point?
Overall, pretty high. Yeah, I'd definitely say I'm around the higher end. It started off pretty similarly to Gene's, and honestly, I was a bit worried because I was a little bit late to getting into the game because I was on vacation when everybody got codes.
Big same.
So when I got back to work, everybody had a bunch of opinions, and a lot of them were fairly negative and just like, ooh, this is like not looking great so far and not super intriguing or interesting. And I was relieved by that.
You know something, and that seems to be the pattern with a lot of the reviews, is that it takes a long time to get into. But if we can, there's a list of games, there's a long list of games like that, and we should go into them at some point and see exactly how many games that were like that took a while to get into. Like, I'd argue that maybe Final Fantasy 13 was one of those. Like, it took a little bit to get into, just because like it was holding your hand. Like, sometimes games that hold your hand aren't like the greatest. I think some games that don't hold your hand and take a while to get into are about the same on that spectrum to me too. But I'd have to compile a list of those games, to be honest.
I was like, thank God I don't have to play this game then. Like, there's so many other things to play, and I've never been the biggest fan of Bethesda games. I played like 20, 30 hours of Skyrim. Didn't really like the Fallout games, never really played them. Always never liked the aesthetics of them.
I did not.
And see, this game kind of reminds me of like a space Fallout too. So, I mean, Fallouts are a hit or a miss for me. I know people praise Obsidian for Fallout New Vegas. I've probably played like maybe 10 hours of that, and I'm just like, yeah, you know, that's cool, but it's not something that I would like dedicate my gaming time to. Like, especially if there's something else that's better out there. So, I mean, I feel them on that one. Like, Fallout is definitely a hit or a miss series for some.
I don't know that about you.
Yeah.
No
yeah. I was the BioWare RPG guy. That was like where I went for my RPGs. And so I was like, thank God, you know, I'll just play this game for a couple hours just to kind of, you know, at least have something to talk about when we get into our big roundtable discussion on the Kinda Funny games review. And and then it started, like Gene was just mentioning, slowly started kind of revealing itself, and I started enjoying myself more and more, while still kind of having a lot of issues with quality of life and mechanics and inventory and small stuff like that can end up ruining experiences for a lot of people. And then the game kind of immediately turned into the space game that I've always wanted, and it turned into the No Man's Sky that I thought we were going to get when No Man's Sky first launched. And I am just kind of addicted to the...
And see, that is a fair comparison. It's not saying that No Man's Sky is the exact same game like some people have said or have accused other people of saying, but it is comparative in that sense. It is the same type of game. Doesn't mean it is the same game.
Loop and living this role play fantasy of I am, you know, Star-Lord. I am Malcolm Reynolds from Firefly. Like I'm the dude in the ship who's looking for a lot of crewmates and stuff like that, and I'm having a freaking blast with it now.
So I'm curious from both of you, what do you think was the point that your minds changed, or that you like the thing that made you realize that you're in love with the game?
There was a certain side quest that just I was talking about on our podcast. It just hijacked the whole experience for me, and I have yet to finish this side quest because it's been 15 hours plus of doing stuff in this side quest that
Is it the one where you have to post the frog posters around Mars? It takes 5 minutes.
That stupid little freaky kid. Oh my god.
So check me out. I saw the video. One of the videos I watched yesterday talked about a specific side quest. And if this is the same side quest, pardon me, if this is the same side quest, then damn, if one side quest alone can attract somebody, imagine what some other side quests could attract. Like, this one side quest, if it's the same, will have a lot of people talking. A comparison that makes sense. Well, like Persona 3 through 5 and Final Fantasy 13 through 16 start slow. Hell yes. Final Fantasy 16 starts off fucking stupid slow. Probably not as slow as Starfield, of course, but it definitely starts off slow. I don't know about Persona. What other game starts off slow? I hate to do it because I love this fucking game. But fucking Enchanted Arms starts off slow too. Enchanted Arms starts off slow. Final Fantasy, I'd argue that most Final Fantasies start off really slow. Like, I love Final Fantasy 8, but that starts off really slow. I'd argue that actually 9 and 10 probably started off way faster. Fallout 4 semi-slow, yes. What other ones? So you're gonna get the ball right. I would say the first Gear started off really fucking slow. Not really slow, probably semi-slow. I'd say the first Gear started off semi-slow. Damn. What's another one that starts off slow? Earthbound probably starts off slow. Oblivion starts off slow. Skyrim starts off slow. Like, most of your RPGs are going to start off slow. I personally thought Final Fantasy started slowish. Because that's what I'm saying. Like, most of your RPGs are going to start off like slow. Slowish, slow, super slow. It just depends, right? Like, some stories take, but like Fallout 3. Woo! Outer Worlds, yes. Fallout 3. You can tell me if I'm wrong or not. To me, that game started off fucking stupid slow for me. for what I've seen people play, and then I jumped on it, and I'm just like, for real? How the fuck did you make it through this? I'm just like, holy fuck, this is slow. Outer Worlds definitely started off slow. Holy shit. Breath of the Wild, yes, Breath of the Wild definitely started off slow. Oh, Tears of the Kingdom starts off slow too. Tears of the Kingdom starts off slower than Breath of the Wild, actually. Like, I think I was on the fucking tutorial thing for at least like 7 fucking hours. I wish you could skip the first 2 hours of Fallout 3. Hell yeah, that shit is slow. That shit is ultra slow. We can make a list of games that start out slow, and that's what reviewers are complaining about, but they never complained about that before. Like, that shit is crazy to me. What else? Like I said, Enchanted Arms started off really slow. I love that game too, but Enchanted Arms started off really slow. Demon Souls, slowish for Demon Souls. Actually, anything Souls is slowish. Or not anything Souls. I'd say Demon Souls, and Dark Souls 2 started off slow. They started off slow to slowish. What was the game that we waited forever for the title screen? That was Tears of the Kingdom, where it actually goes through the cutscenes, and where it actually goes through the cutscenes, and you never actually get you go through the cutscenes and never actually get to the title screen. Oh boy, Breath of the Wild really threw me, or I'm sorry, Tears of the Kingdom threw me off with that one. That fucking threw me way the fuck off, okay? Let's be real about that one. I was like, where the fuck is the title screen at? I had to quit the game just to see what the title screen even looked like. Life of P? Nah, Life of P wasn't slow. Life of P was surprisingly faster than I expected it to be. Life of P I would argue Life of P could be looked at as slowish. And then Tears of the Kingdom was really slow. You spend so much time on them damn floating islands after Ganondorf kills your ass, or after he fucks your shit up. Tears of the Kingdom was extremely long. It couldn't hope, like Breath of the Wild couldn't have been as long. Like Breath of the Wild was a long start, but not as long as Tears of the Kingdom. And then they show you, like, the bad part about it, about the start of Tears of the Kingdom, is that not only are you on the floating islands trying to get all of the fucking shit that you need, but you're also getting like extra shit that's on the island. You're learning about the extra shit on the island. You're spending time learning how to build stuff, and then you finally get off the island, and then you still gotta fucking find a damn temple to start off with. That game is so fucking slow to start. The picture game? What picture game? Which one are you talking about? Oh, you know what? I'll give you a game that nobody's played that's really slow. It's an indie game. It's called Stay Out of the House. Stay Out of the House has a really fucking slow start. Of course, there's stuff to do in the midst of that start, but it's a scripted fucking slow start. It is the worst. Sitting there waiting until that back door unlocks, and then fucking the killer finally and then you go out of the back door, come and inspect the bathrooms, and then all of a sudden you come back and the killer is waiting for you. Like, that's the long one. The picture game, you did a review for it. Did I? What review did I do for it? I don't remember doing anything on a picture game. What the fuck are you talking about? I could tell you the games that I've reviewed. I've reviewed Metroid Dread. I've reviewed Halo. I did like a live review for Arceus. I did Mario Strikers. I did, what is it? Rainbow Six Extraction. I did Dark Souls Trilogy. Those are the only games. Oh, I never actually reviewed that one. What are you talking about? I never reviewed that one. I was going to, but it was going to take me forever to do that. It's called Fatal Frame. Fatal Frame actually takes. Fatal Frame is slow too. Metroid Prime. Yeah, Metroid Prime is slow. That's a slow start. Though it's not as slow as some of the other games we've said, but it is a slow start. Actually, Metroid games as a whole could be looked at as a slow start. Cause you go through all of the fucking process to find like for Super Metroid, you have to you're looking for the Metroid. You're looking for the actual Metroid, and then you fight Ridley, and then you go through the planet to turn on everything. Like that's slow. That's what I want to know. I want to know how slow Starfield is if everybody is saying that it's slow. I think somebody said it was like 20 hours in and it was still hadn't, and they still haven't figured out in it. Through the woods, that whole game is slow. What are we talking about? Through the Woods is just slow, period. I think somebody said like 20 hours in and they still weren't at the main story or some shit like that. I don't know, man. Like I want to find that out myself. But it seems to be the pattern because like everybody is saying it. Even people that have ranked this game at like 10 out of 10 have said this is a slow start. This is a really slow start. And I think like a lot of the slow starts that people are saying is that like you don't get like certain ship upgrades or something, and it takes a long time for you to be able to get certain like personal upgrades or some shit like that. It takes a long time to get that. So I don't know. I will say that the level up system in it is a real pain. That looks like a real pain in the ass. It looks like such a pain in the ass because they be holding back on the fucking XP when it comes to leveling up. They hold back like crazy. It's almost comparative to the leveling system of Halo Infinite's multiplayer stingy type shit. Like that's how slow the leveling system is, which sucks, man. I think they want it, but I think that was on purpose too. I think they really want people to stick this game out for the longest. I think they want people to play this game for the long haul because they know they don't have another game on tuck. And if they have another Redfall failure, then fuck, they would have been in trouble without this game. So I don't know how slow the start is, but if there are certain aspects that would get you into space that's holding you back, or certain aspects that'll take you to certain areas that you need to be at in space, I could see that being problematic. And if that's the case, then that is a long fucking start. Then that is Fallout in a hole.
Easy. Get out of my face. Mars like really has an issue. Little babies look weird as hell on Mars.
Red Dead was slow too. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I did this little.
The second one was slower than the first one, actually.
This thing happened to me, and it just sort of completely took over the experience for me. And I stopped doing I stopped doing the story missions because of it. It was like, wow, this is kind of intriguing and interesting. I'm gonna see where this leads, and it just kept going, and is still going. And this happened around hour 7 or 8. And obviously I've done a lot of...
Okay, so it takes a few hours to get started. Not 20, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say maybe about 5 hours, maybe 5 hour start So that's really slow.
A lot of other side missions since then, but I'm about 35 hours in now, still dealing with this whole other thing that's happening that legitimately feels like a different video game. Like,
Is it faction related?
Yes.
Okay.
And as I'm doing, I'm like, this just feels like a game. This doesn't. This is so long spanning. I cannot believe that things are still happening and things are still progressing. And I am just like immediately kind of surprised by that. Now, the other moment of me falling in love with was finally going like, all right, I think this game is pretty bad at tutorials and not leading the player and helping the.
That is another pattern I've heard. Which I've actually seen that personally, and I'm like, holy fuck, that looks like that's gonna be a pain in the ass too.
Player out enough. I'm not talking about like putting markers on the maps or whatever. Local maps.
No,
which is that's another problem too. Is like the markers, the marker system is kind of, oh man, they need to fix that, or else you know, people are gonna have a really hard time trying to find their way around.
I had texted you. I was like, "What are you doing for ship customization?" And I think that we were both like, I'd only found one guy who had some weapons I couldn't afford.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know where to do this part of this game at all.
Finally did it, and
yes,
finally got into shipbuilding and have become enamored with the experience. And my whole thing is, yeah, the main story's there. I'm also dealing with this gigantic ass side quest that seems to never end. It seems to just be its own campaign. And I'm doing a lot of side quests and bounties, and I'm using that money to buy ship parts and customize my ship that I'm just.
It's amazing too, because these people have done the review already and they're still playing the game. So right there it already tells you, like, you kind of wonder, like, did they actually give you like the whole review? Because this review would take forever just to do, and by that time, like, other games would have come out. Like, that's why I say, like, games like this just shouldn't be reviewed. I think they need to find like a different way to put this game out and sell it to the public. I think that's what needs to happen.
Falling more and more in love with, and I'm playing on PC, by the way, and keyboard and mouse navigation is really a lot easier, I would say, on the shipbuilding portion of it. It's a little bit more user friendly if you're used to. I feel like on controls it can get kind of wacky dealing with all the different buttons and button combos. But
I saw that and I'm like, yep, I'm staying away from that. I already have enough. Let me tell you something. I already have enough problems on AC6 with all the shit that you have to deal with on that game, and that's not even nearly as complicated as this one. So I like that's another reason how I know this game probably isn't for me. Like, me personally, doesn't mean it's not for you all.
But yeah, I'm using that money to buy new ship parts, customize my ship, loving that experience, and then finding different bars on different planets and finding crewmates that are just by the bar sitting there, and you see him in a different suit. And and it's just a dude who's like, hey, I'm looking for work. Well, what do you do? I specialize in missiles and stuff. And it's like, all right, get the fuck on my ship, dude. Oh, 7K? Actually, I'm going to persuade you, and let's bring that price down a little bit, but we'll get you on the ship. And now they're in the living court. It's the coolest shit ever, dude. It's so sick.
Don't love the persuasion mechanic. That's an aside.
Hate it.
Love the companions. Like, I think that, like, one of the strengths of the game, they're all so different and have so much personality. The persuasion mechanic is really just
I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back.
Give me the Baldur's Gate dice.
Yeah, I do love the lockpicking though. But we we could get into that. So Gene, what was your like, oh, I love this moment, if you had one?
Yeah. It's so interesting. Well, first of all, Lana, you were absolutely correct. I think this is such a different Bethesda game because you don't have that, what I think I've called the step out moment, right?
Yeah.
Where you walk out of Vault 101 and then you can see there's the visual language, the classic video game visual language. There's the Washington Monument. You can see the skyline of Washington D.C., the city that I live in, and you know exactly. You can visually already guide your own adventure. And and even in Skyrim, there's Bleak Falls Barrow or whatever. I'm forgetting the name, and you can see the mountain.
Did anybody understand a word he just fucking said? Because I heard a bunch of shit about being able to tell about the Washington Monument and seeing this. Like, I'm lost.
Mountaintop there, and that's probably the first temple that you go to. So you can go to the town and below by the river, and then you kind of figure things out. Very smooth transition into and it really eases you into the experience. There's nothing like that in Starfield. There's no grand step out moment. There's no like, oh, I know exactly what to do and where to go. It's like, no, here's the main quest, and then do the main quest or do whatever. I guess that's kind of like the design of the game.
Do you want to know something? I think they took that from 4. You can say what you want about me, but 4 was like that to me. Where it was just like I had no idea what the main quest was, and I think it was because I wasn't paying attention. So I went into building up the Minutemen for like the first 3 hours. And I'm just like, before I figured out that, oh, this isn't the main quest? Like, what is this? It's actually a side quest. And that's kind of the thing that I struggled with in 4. If I struggled with that in 4, I would definitely struggle with that in this game.
So to answer your question on when I fell in love with it, I was like I really wanted to finish this game like under deadline, right? And the way I approach games is that I tend to beeline the main quest, the MSQ. So I did it this time, and usually with Bethesda games, you kind of regret doing that because one, they're usually not that good. And 2, you don't really get a wide, diverse of experiences within that quest, right? Usually the banger quests are the side content where it's like, oh, this is the Thieves Guild or whatever. No, when I was doing the main quest, I was like, this is great. That when I thought that the game was like too shootery, and it's funny that like they were being very coy about whether you can do a pacifist run, and they're like, no, I don't know if you can do that. No, you definitely can't do that. You're going to end up shooting people. You're going to put bullets in some people's heads.
A lot of space pirates you are definitely going to shoot.
A lot of space pirates, yeah. It's definitely the bandit camp of this game, right? But the main story gave me quests where there was a whole stretch of quests where I did nothing but talking for 3 hours. That was all the quest was. It was so interesting. And then I beat the game, and then you probably heard this discourse a lot where it's like, that's when the real game starts. That's what Pete Hines said.
What is
and
that?
It's crazy to me it's crazy to me that he said that.
So it sounds like it's almost like an AC6 deal where it's like after you beat the first run, the New Game Plus and New Game Plus 2 is where the real stories get, and that's how you get the 2 different endings. That's how it's always been for From Software games, but the fact that the New Game and New Game Plus the New Game Plus and New Game Plus 2 actually give you extra missions and shit, I think that's pretty dope. So the fact that if you beat Starfield, then the real game begins, it sounds like that could be like that could be anything. That could be like a New Game Plus type of deal, like they add extra stuff. Maybe they've added an extra story to keep the interstellar travel interesting. It could mean a lot, but that sounds pretty dope.
That because I knew exactly what he was talking about, and I was like, why are you saying that now? But I guess the cat's out of the bag. But yeah, it was after the credits rolled, and I was like, the entire game makes sense now. Like the entire structure of the quests, all the side content, the main quest, all of it kind of makes sense now. I know where they were going when they made this game. And then like I went into like New Game Plus, and I was like, oh, maybe I'm a little down on it. And then I started finding, just like what Andy did, I started finding really interesting side quests. And I was
so there is a New Game Plus.
Like, oh, this is a banger. Like I'm doing this corporate espionage, and this is like Andy said, this is a completely different game. This is suddenly this just turned into a stealth game, and then I'm
Wow.
building for stealth now. And then so I got silencers and pistols, and my guy has like a ninja suit on and everything. Completely different game. So that's the thing. Like this game, it just feels like different games in there, and then it's really hard to find the fun. And I think that's kind of where it kind of faltered in. It's like the guiding few hours. It's not really there. And I think you really just kind of have to left to figure it.
Which makes you wonder, like, how many people that reviewed this game actually played through like the slow part. And did they face the burnout after the slow end? Like I could easily see that happening. Like there have been games that have been so slow to start where I'm just like, damn, I don't even want to finish this shit because it just took me forever just to even be able to do that.
Figure it out. And there's so many systems, like Andy said, like I think the game doesn't really teach you very well how to do certain things. I think a lot of people don't know that you can just drag bodies. You can just pick them up and just drag them around.
That's been a thing in all of their games, though. If you don't know that, then I mean that's a basic thing.
Game,
know that.
Exactly. The
Shut
game
the
never
what?
teaches you. Yeah, you can do that. Did you know you can lean? Did you know this game is balanced for lean like Call of Duty? You know, you can do
No,
that.
I was like,
Yeah,
the cover's really bad. You can
Yeah,
lead.
yeah, you can just lean, you know. So like there's things this game just does not teach you at all, you know.
And that's gonna pose a problem for journalists that are trying to review this game, and they should have just stayed the fuck away from it because it's just like I said, it's just impossible to fucking review a game like this. It's too hard. It's too hard because this guy is teaching these two that there are things that even they didn't recognize, but he took the time to actually see and figure this stuff out. So there's always going to be like somebody that plays this better. There's going to be people that don't play it as good. Like there's going to be different play styles for and it's just really hard to fucking to review this and actually get a clear cut decision on whether or not to buy this or not.
And you just kind of like stumble upon it yourself or figure it out. And then all the menus are.
My favorite thing about Bethesda game is always discovery, right? Like saying that, and maybe that's part of it, but that is an odd one because, again, thankfully I'm not reviewing the game or anything. I had been like, man, what's the point of cover? Because they never told me that I could lean. I guess it's an interesting one in that they're expecting you to figure out actual mechanics. Rather than just the world, which is
which is crazy because the beginning of the game is just there's so many tutorial pop-ups to the point where I started glazing over. I was like, I don't care, whatever, you know, which was a mistake because I skipped some stuff that I needed to figure out later on, you know.
Okay, what do I say on this channel? Read.
So there's a lot of information overload. It's like what that guy who got arrested said. The guy who got arrested
is something that I suck at too, so I'm not gonna say anything against that.
For stealing all the copies of Starfield, and he went on Twitter to give his review, and he says, "Yeah, this is not a game that you can just play. You got to do a lot of reading." And I was like, "Yeah, you actually do have to do a lot of reading. That is an absolutely accurate review, sir." You know,
I'm alright with that in an RPG, to be honest. And one thing that I think is really interesting about both your playstyles, as we were talking about before we went live, is Gene, you did mainline the main quest, whereas Andy, you started with side quests, right? Like, have you finished the main quest?
No, not at all. No, I have to assume that I've legitimately only done about 3 or 4 main quests.
You've done the Vlad stuff though, right?
Don't know who that is.
That's interesting.
Oof.
That's crazy. Yeah. So okay, you didn't even go that far then. Yeah, because you wouldn't know who Vlad is at this point if you met him. So
that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Gene, does that mean Andy's like just playing without certain things?
Yeah, I think he's just playing without certain mechanics even too.
That's nuts. Wow.
That's the interesting thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Wait.
Dude, I feel like I would be in Andy's position with a lot of stuff. You know how many times I made it through a game and I'm just like, I could have done this so much better if I had this, if I figured this out before. Like I've gone through so many games like that. Like I feel that. Like that is a lot. That like you sitting there trying to get through a game, trying to figure shit out, and then like you Jimmy rig half of the fucking shit that you do, and then come to find out there was actually a much easier way to do shit. And he's sitting here with this look on his face, and that's the exact same look I'd be giving if I were him.
Yeah, you have things you just don't have because you haven't spoken to Vlad.
Vlad. Let me just Google Vlad. Maybe I talked to him.
Vladimir.
Maybe I talked to him once. No, not Vladimir Putin.
You got to talk to him more than once.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
He's hard to forget.
Wow.
No, I have not met this dude. What the fuck,
Andy? You are missing like very important like mechanics.
Yeah,
that's
you don't even know
nuts.
what this game is about yet, dude. That's crazy.
Wow.
I'm telling you, dude. I am the bounty hunter helping out people with random missions, and I just want my shit to look sick as hell. And
yeah, you're playing like a Firefly simulator.
Yeah,
dude, straight up. Like that's just kind of what it's become, and that's where that's why I'm finding the joy. But again, legitimately, it also feels like right now, if in order to not break my immersion and not kind of like fuck with the lore in my mind, it feels like going back to main mission stuff kind of is interfering with this gigantic side quest. And I'm also worried of like when I get to the end of this gigantic side quest, like, what now? Do I just put the game away? Like, what? Like it's been so long. You know what I mean? I don't know what to do right now. I'm at an impasse.
I love that. So if we, try and cover both of your this is the moment that I loved it moments, I feel like the easiest jump off of that before we get into criticisms is like, what are your favorite things about this game? Like, if you even want to give me a list of like, what are the things that you feel like you like the most about Starfield that you can actually articulate?
Wow, it's a simple question, but it's actually a little hard to.
I mean, some of mine I feel like it's the least buggy Bethesda game that I've ever played. That stands out a lot to me.
That's saying a lot, because there's a lot of bugs in the damn game that I was looking at. Like, I don't know what y'all were playing, but geez, there was a lot of bugs that I saw.
As something that's like memed online that everybody expected. I think they had extra time for polish, and it clearly shows. Like, it is definitely the least buggy of their games that I've ever played. To the extent that this might make the internet mad, I kind of missed it. I was like, where's the jank? People aren't clipping through things anywhere near as much as I like in my Fallout. So I kind of got bummed about it. I love the companions.
It's the soul of a Bethesda game.
It is, and it kind of made me sad. But they did a great job with polish. The companions, I think, are fantastic. Legitimately, in terms of diversity, like they are all so different and have such different things to say. Which, by the way, can you romance them? I've only been rejected.
Yep.
You can successfully? Okay,
Yep,
I've tried, and they're always like, I'm good, actually. So maybe that's on me. It's my style's the problem. I've flirted with multiple people and had them say
the
no.
NPC looked at you and went, ew.
Every time, dude. Every time.
They were not impressed with your Riz.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about this game is that this is just a true immersive sim in the truest sense, in a way that like a game like Deathloop wasn't, because Deathloop was so action focused, and in a way that Redfall was not at all, right? And here comes Bethesda, and like I think a lot of people worried. I definitely worried that they were going to even make things even simpler than what Fallout 4 was, because then you see the cascading simplification of their systems from Morrowind to Oblivion to Skyrim to Fallout to.
And this is an example of why looking at the previous works can leave people skeptical, and why you shouldn't ever underestimate the power of a really bad game release or a really good game release. Because depending on how a game released is gonna be what people think about them in the future, which is how like people like From Software, Nintendo, Capcom that's how they've established themselves at the moment, because they've been releasing constantly and they've been releasing quality. So of course people are gonna put their trust in them, but Redfall just exploded, like in a bad way. Like it died on impact. And then you had Deathloop, which could have been way more than what it was, and they just dropped the ball on that. And so when you drop the ball on it, hey, guess what? You know what they didn't mention? They didn't mention Ghostwire. Why wasn't Ghostwire in that conversation? Because Ghostwire has everything that Redfall and Deathloop didn't have. So why isn't that in the conversation? That's crazy to me.
To Fallout 4, and it's like, man, like Fallout 4 was just almost like a straight action shooter. So that's what I was worried Starfield was going to become. But then no, it's not. Like it's so accommodating to so many different playstyles. Again, like I'm playing a completely stealth build, which is different from what I was playing earlier. So it's like it's very adaptable, and the level design of some of these buildings are so interesting, and that they allow for that. So like if I wanted to sneak into a building, I could like dress up in a suit and walk in the front desk and ask for an appointment to go see the head of marketing. And that's another thing about this game is that like other games will just like, if there's a corporate building, you're gonna get the lobby and maybe like the CEO's building, the office, right up in the penthouse. No, this game is gonna build out the human resource department, marketing department, public relations, everything. And then so yeah, I could either do that or I can actually try to land on the roof and then sneak through the vents and just be a complete like cyber ninja and figure that out.
So it
that's
makes
just
sense
how-
if they're getting rid of their, like, as we're calling them now, like walking out of Vault 101 reveal Vista moments, because that's what they're doing instead, which requires you to dig deeper, right? Like you can't just stumble across stuff like that, considering the scale of the game. It is
gotta
very different.
You gotta really look into the details for sure.
How much time are you spending on, either of you, I guess, on planets that aren't populated?
That was a long ass silence. Like, how long are y'all spending on these planets? I don't know. What do you want to do today?
There was a whole controversy about the boundaries,
Yes.
where if you walk far enough, then the game will just tell you to turn around, which is true, and that happens. I
After
didn't
15
bump
minutes.
Yeah, it was like 15, 20 minutes. I didn't bump into it because I just decided never to like walk that long.
So there are, and oh man, this is where the conversation gets a little tricky now, because there are some rose tinted glasses that are looking at this, right? So he knows that there are boundaries. This is a complaint now. He knows there are boundaries. He chooses not to push those boundaries, and we're gonna find out why in a minute.
Contrary to what Andy has been going through, I haven't done any of the crafting or any of the shipbuilding or any of the outpost building. So I haven't been digging for resources. I've been like hanging out in a lot of the commercial areas, the urban areas, just being a city kid and just hanging out there and finding missions that way,
Interesting.
I haven't really messed around a whole lot on planets that I guess I'll go to random planets to maybe see what's up at a random outpost there.
Yep.
And see what I can loot from there. But I'd say a couple of my favorite things are, I think this game is like insanely impressive with its new updated fancy lighting system. I'm playing on PC, and I don't. Your miles may vary if you're playing on certain machines, or maybe on console or Series X or S or whatever. But I am like so blown away by the interior lighting in a lot of these spaces. I guess I just didn't expect lighting to look this good.
She didn't ask about the lighting. She asked about the planets, my dude. How many planets have you visited?
A game this big. I'm
On an
of
engine
course-
this old?
Yeah, and exactly, and of course I'm super aware, and I'm expecting to get the NPCs that just walk around and they look at you with just like massive weird eyes. You're like, oh, you didn't get a whole lot of love, NPC. Like you're just you're the random dude that got randomly generated. But I am genuinely impressed by a lot of the sort of procedural face animations that a lot of these NPCs do get. The higher tiered of NPCs, because I was talking to a couple of people at work today that like there's a tiered system for me of the main quest people are at the very, very top and they get the most love. But then there's like a section below it where you still find some NPCs with really damn good side quests that got a lot of love and care put into the way their faces receive shadow and the lighting and their positioning and how are they going to be standing when you approach them, and is that going to be arted out in a way that looks appealing to the eye? Like when you walk up to a big Destiny NPC, and they're always like in this, it looks like a painting, right? And there are a lot of moments like that in this game that I just wasn't expecting. I think the lighting engine, fantastic, and I'm way more impressed and surprised by the quality of NPCs and the quality of the facial animation that I guess I wasn't expecting to get in a game like this. Not saying it's Cyberpunk level, but I'm very impressed by how good it is. I would say other favorite things, again, like the ship crafting is just kind of where I'm at and where I'm existing.
Well, since neither of us have done that, do you want to talk a little bit about how that works? Like,
Yeah.
how did you figure out how to start doing it? Again, I just found one dude in a random outpost on a random planet who was like, "You want some?"
See, and then each one of them knows something different about the game. That's what makes Dark Souls games so great too, is that like the community can always find something different. They can find similarities, but they have a different play style, so people can go through the game however they want. That's this game.
Weapons, and I was like, "Those are all $50,000."
Yeah,
Yeah, and I got 5 ships in it, but I stole all of them. And then the funny thing about stealing the ships is that you kill the people on board, and then you take the ship, and then if you don't register the ship, the bodies will just stay on board. I didn't know that for the longest time, so I had like 4 really stinky ships for
You
a
just
while.
got corpse mobiles?
Yeah, just these corpses. I was like Walter White with like corpses in the bag driving around or whatever, you know.
Shit smells.
Yeah.
So like the larger main cities will have, maybe not even cities, some are like actual like large outposts and maybe some space stations will have a person that specializes in ships. So when you first arrive at New Atlantic, there's a dude who greets you there and is like, "Hey, what's going on?" You talk to him. The top option will say, "Repair my ship."
Yeah.
And the other options will say, "I'd like to build or modify my ship," or "Show me what you have for sale." What sort of ships do you have for sale? And they have a lot of different pre-made ships, you know, like you're buying your Alienware PC or whatever. Maybe you don't want to build it on your own. Those are usually like pretty expensive. So I just kind of like started messing around because I knew like anytime there's anything I can do with customization, if it's a super deep and interesting character creator or a like having ship customization in here or even in like Armored Core, I really dug the customization there. And yeah, the ship, I just kind of went in there, and it's again pretty daunting at first because this is where I think the game kind of fails with not tutorializing good enough. Is you pop in there, and I guess I'm expecting the screen to kind of like be dimmed, and you see the little pop-up that says "click here for this." And then you click and now click here for this, and that just didn't happen. It's just, hey, you just opened up 3ds Max on your PC. Now
that's 100% what I felt like when I got to base building. I was like, I'm what?
Yeah,
just like
1000%. It's very, very daunting and very overwhelming at first. And immediately I was like, nope, not going to do that right now. This seems like a much larger endeavor that I'm really down for right now. But then when I finally got into it and I realized like, oh, there's a lot of, obviously, there's a lot of manufacturers in this universe. There's manufacturers that make cool ship parts. There's some ship parts that just are aesthetically sleeker, and maybe that model looks a little bit more like modern, but this model looks a little bit more like the NASA shuttles that we're used to right now. So I started really messing with that, and then getting into the coloring the ship and picking like what color combos I want to rock with. And then I just started like changing the overall look of everything. And I'm talking like, well, I want people to be able to pilot this ship. I need more money to buy that hull that allows more engineers to be on board. And then when you buy that hull, you'll now that when you walk in there, there's like a bunch of desks set, not desks, but like people in chairs with little computer screens in front of them. It's like, oh, that's where my crewmates will eventually sit when I go hire them. And it just kind of like, and each domino kept on falling. Of like, well, in order to move a ship this fast, now I need money for a better reactor.
What do
I need
you
a
need
better
the
engines.
ships for?
I just want to be starfighting and fighting dudes. I want to be able to pop into any system, and for people to be like, "Oh, who's this dude? I'm gonna take your
Okay.
ass out." Like,
But that's like kind of the only thing you can do, right? Like the ships, you get to dock on things in space and you can fight people,
yeah, the dog.
but that's
the dog,
pretty much it.
pretty much, yeah. The dog fighting and the bounties are pretty much all.
But wouldn't that mean that's what makes customizing the ship like so great though, is that not only is it good for, it's not just good for docking, but it's good to manage your stuff so that you can fight people that you need to fight and hopefully survive, right?
All I want to do, but
Okay.
like, it's the idea of like getting that next better part that upgrades your shields, and maybe I want somebody who specializes in making my ships faster and getting the most out of the engines that I have. I remember that one dude at that one bar on Mars. Let me go find him, hire him. Now he's on the ship. Like, it just kind of started like making this little it just felt like I was role playing as a little space scoundrel out there. Which, by the way, I think is like probably the most generic one to pick, and I get it, and that's what I picked as my trait or my background. And it's just been really fun kind of finding my creativity there and making my own fun and finding bounties to go do and trying to be like an overall good dude. But sure, you know, I'll do a little crime here and there, like, you know.
You don't feel like there's
Nobody's
anything
watching.
that's like going to get boring about just landing places and dogfighting?
Well, because everything in between there are a bunch of side quests.
Yeah, of course.
That are
You're not literally just zipping around finding people.
Like I am using my ship to jump to new spots to then somebody then hails me and go, "Holy shit, dude! There's spacers out here. We need your help." All right, well, let me go land on that planet. Let me go pop off. And I just love the idea of always. Like, I'm the type that when Cyberpunk was coming out, I'm like, oh, you can't be third person, but I want to see myself. I love seeing my ship. I love seeing that's my baby, you know, like that's the thing that I've been creating and working so hard on. I just really enjoy that experience of it. And I'm going to be seeing this ship a lot for the next many hours. And I just wanted to look dope as hell. And it's really dope when you walk in and your crewmates are like, "Hey, Captain, good to see you." It's like, hell yeah, dude, I'm the captain of this ship, dude. Everybody get back to work. You know, it's
yeah,
awesome,
you're playing
dude.
Ship Captain Simulator. That's
Yeah,
so funny.
it's
cool.
so
Yeah.
cool. Like,
And
hey,
Vasco
no
calls-
overtime pay, you know, like all that shit.
Are you called Andy too? Is Vasco calling you Captain Andy?
Cortez.
Are
Yeah.
Are
you
you so
saying
you
your name,
paying all
Cortez?
of them? Like you got like a whole economy thing going on?
Well, in order for them to get hired, they just
I
ask
think
for
I
a
have
one-time
5
fee.
right now. Yeah.
They ask for a one-time fee. See, like those NPCs, the ones that like you talk to that are part of Constellation. First off, I forgot to mention this, but I talked about this on our review. Is like I had hired a lady who was really good at ballistics for my ship, and I don't know where she's at now. She's just gone.
Oh, she's left.
And I don't know. Somebody said that she quite quitted on me.
Quite quitting, yeah.
I feel like I left her somewhere and maybe never got her back. And some people were telling me, "Oh, you can look at your ship's sort of inventory and see what crewmates." And she's not there. I'm just like, I hope the best for her. I hope
She
she's
quit for
okay
sure,
out there.
bro.
Wow, yeah.
It's fucking bullshit, honestly.
She might be
I
dead.
sold my
Oh, yeah.
backpack, and I don't know to who because we need to. Andrew and Renee was originally supposed to be on this as well, but we rescheduled because I wanted to do it after reviews, and she wasn't able to. And she wanted us to talk about the inventory management being over encumbered, which my god, does it happen fast. That is like probably like my single like biggest enemy in the game is my backpack, but I chose the kid stuff perk, which gives you a better backpack to start with. And then at some point when I was furiously selling shit because I'm over encumbered all the fucking time, I guess I accidentally sold my backpack, and I don't know who I sold it to. My parents gave me that backpack. I don't know. I have no idea where it is. I know there's a buyback system, but I'm like, someone has that backpack. I'll find them one day, maybe. I don't know if it tracks that kind of shit. I have no idea.
Gene,
I think that's
did
the-
you do the kid stuff thing, Gene?
I did not do kid stuff. I have no parents in this
Okay.
game.
Yeah, same.
That's the drawback with this game is that it's so big that you just forget or you can lose track of like what you're doing. There are so many different planets that like good luck finding the person you sold the backpack to. Who knows? You know it's a literal fucking galaxy out there. You know.
Some things I don't like.
Yes, that's
We
what I was
get
going to
to-
go into next. Negatives. What do you not like
Negatives.
about it?
We already kind of touched a bit on the persuasion system. I think it's not great. I don't like being able to not see what my chance.
So even though they gave it 10 out of 10, there's stuff that they ultimately find that they don't like. So then this is what we need to decide then, like what constitutes a 10 out of 10? Why is a 7 so bad? Why is it so safe? We already know why it's so safe. Why is anything lower than a 9 so bad? I mean, there's just a lot here that they're covering right now that is just kind of like, man, why are we surprised when we start talking about 7s and 10 out of 10s and stuff like that? And when we look at that, part of that is because we're looking also at who it is that we're actually who's actually reviewing the game. And when we have certain people reviewing certain games that don't have a really good track record, then I think it's really easy to get lost at who the person is alongside their review and who else they're affiliated with too, because that's really difficult to get past with IGN, because IGN does not have a very good track record when it comes to reviews. So yeah, I mean, they're not uttering anything, like it's just one of those deals where it's just like, are we serious? Like what actually constitutes for a 10 out of 10 then? That's what I'm wondering. What constitutes for a 10 out of 10? Truly. And I think that's just subjective, and I don't think this game can actually be reviewed. So, I don't know. It's just crazy where things have gone at the moment. But I'm gonna get off of here because I need to get some things, and I need to eat, of course. So thank y'all for joining me for my rants, my crazy ass rants. Thank you all for the follows on Kick. I appreciate all of you for I appreciate each and every one of you, and I will see you later. Peace.